San Diego, it's time to fire it up. From the beaches to the ballparks, from the Gaslamp to North County, no one knows America's finest city like he does.
You can't just punt on a Manny Machado prime year.
He's a fourth-generation San Diegan, born and raised in the heart of this community. Passionate, opinionated, and always bringing you the real talk on your teams, your city, and everything in between.
Braden totally knows his stuff. He's ready for the next step. That guy is good.
Live and local, it's the Braden Surprenant Show.
But I think Braden's one of the up-and-coming young stars in the media game in San Diego.
Now, here's your host, Braden Surprenant.
What's up, San Diego, and a happy Tuesday to everybody out there in America's finest city. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local each and every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. I am back in San Diego after a little weekend trip to Utah. And it is, well, we got in the right time, Frank.
Wow, it is raining really hard. This is being cool here on the Entercom Empire, so if you're sitting out there.
What?
That's exactly what it's doing. It just started pouring out here in Serra Mesa.
Yeah, we got in the building and it started bucketing rain right after we sat down.
We got in here at the right time, to say the least. So good thing we don't have to deal with that. I'm glad I brought my. No, I did not. Sorry. Hopefully the wind. Hopefully the rain stops.
I'm glad I thought about bringing my umbrella a couple days ago.
I know it's in my car, so that's fun. Anyway, we got a lot to talk about on the show today. I mean, obviously with me missing yesterday, and a big thank you to Sam Levitt for filling in. Did a great job yesterday. Filling in for the Braden Surprenant Show. I was flying back from Utah. Had a great trip to Utah this weekend. Had a little bit better of a trip than TCU did. I can tell you that right now. But I went out there. At any time that they could come out to the West Coast that's close with me coaching high school football, trying to go to games, the best way I can go to a game. So I made a trip. We made a trip out of it. Went to Salt Lake on Saturday morning, flew into Salt Lake City, had a 9 o'clock flight. We got out of town right before it started pouring in San Diego, which worked out. I had great windows to fly to Utah and fly back. So we went to Salt Lake, had lunch there in Salt Lake City. It was beautiful up there in the Salt Lake area. They had a little bit of weather, but not too much. Drove down to Provo, checked into the Airbnb. The people in Provo were super nice. The area was cool. It was a nice little, Provo's a nice little town. I don't know if I would stay there more than like 2 days, though. I don't know what people do there all the time, but it was cool. Our Airbnb was walking distance to Lavelle Edwards Stadium, where the hell BYU plays. And it was cool. It was a cool little experience. They had, you know what they had, Frank, which I thought was awesome, which I think San Diego State should do. They had a little like tailgate zone. And it was mostly for families and kids, but you walk in there, they had like every pickup game under the sun and every blow up game under the sun, all for free,
cool.
all for free.
That's cool.
All you had to do was like download a waiver real quick. And I don't know if San Diego State does that or not.
Is what?
It was free.
See, that's where the problems start.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Unfortunately.
There you go. Here's corporate Big Ten Frank jumping in. We can't be doing free stuff.
No, we can't.
Yeah, it was free.
Sorry.
They had free pickup volleyball.
See, there's that word again.
They had free field goal kicking for kids.
Keep saying that
Awesome.
word.
They had a free, you know what they had, which I thought was awesome? They had a giant dartboard, gigantic, and they had a soccer ball that had like Velcro on it and the Velcro dartboard, and they had a game where you got to kick at the dartboard. Super fun.
You know what would make that more fun?
As if it cost $15.
If it was like $1 or $2 a kick, that would make it more fun.
Stop it.
That would make it a lot more fun.
They had that. They had a bunch of stuff. It was cool. It was a nice little like hangout tailgate area. And then for like the Cougar Club, since they don't have alcohol there, they were giving away brownies. I'm gonna tell you right now, every place that would have alcohol was just switched out for sugar.
Welcome to Utah.
Welcome to Provo. Salt Lake was not like that. Okay, Salt Lake and Park City were not like that, but Provo was like that. And here's the deal. The people were nice. Now, I've heard from a lot of different athletes that they didn't like going to BYU. They thought the fans were a little ruckus. I did not experience that at all. At least walking through. I walked through that whole stadium because I got there too early. There's not a lot of places to get a drink in Provo. They got a lot of dirty soda. You ever heard of dirty soda?
No.
The dirty soda, dude. Listen to this.
You keep saying what it is. It doesn't
I'm gonna explain
explain what.
I'm gonna explain it. Dirty soda. They have dirty soda places instead of like coffee shops. They did have a Dutch Bros, but I just think it's loaded with sugar. It like eliminates the caffeine, whatever. Because I know there's like some caffeine requirements too. But you couldn't get a coffee in the stadium, which made sense. They had hot cocoa, but they had dirty soda. Has anybody heard of dirty soda before? It is soda with flavored creamers. It's putting half and half that is sugar filled, like peppermint half and half flavor, butterscotch flavored half and half. They had all these different flavors of cream
Is that
you put in soda. It's not a dirty Sprite, Sam. A dirty Sprite has alcohol in it. This is a dirty soda.
Is that not what like independent soda shops are?
I don't know.
Like where you get like those like the individual bottles that you get up in Julian out of the random soda case. Is that not what that is?
What, do they have creamer in that soda?
Yeah, it's like blue raspberry
No.
soda.
This is
and
different.
stuff like
They like
that, and
actually
peppermint soda.
They put like cream and stuff in like a Coke. I didn't want to try it. It just was a lot. It was a lot. There was a lot of sugar. So I didn't try that. But they also had the cool thing about it. I was explaining to some people at the BYU games, they give all the opposing fans free ice cream as the game starts. So they have a creamery
to get you frozen right before a cold game. That works.
I guess. It actually wasn't that cold there. I wasn't super cold. It was like in the 50s. It wasn't too bad. But they would walk around the stadium, like go up and down the aisle. I'm like, hey, look, they got a creamery vendor. They got a guy, like, because, not selling booze. They're selling ice cream. And so their creamery is supposed to be world famous. So we ended up trying the ice cream before the game started. And then they were passing out more ice cream for everybody that was a TCU fan. So I'm sitting there watching the game. And somebody tapped me on the shoulder. He's like, hey, they're giving away ice cream to all TCU fans, right? And I was like, no, that's awesome. They're like, oh, I'll wave the guy down for you, and I'll get you some ice cream. And so the guy waves down the ice cream guy going up and down the rows. And you're like, oh, here's a TCU fan. He wants ice cream. And so the guy walks up, here, which one would you like? They had all the flavors. I'm like, oh, I'll take cookies and cream. He's like,
Sweet.
Here's a spoon, sir. And a napkin. I was like, this is great. This is great. The ice cream, I'm going to say that was at least a 9 something. That was like a 9.3 out of 10. And the ice cream there was legit. And then I had to try a cougar tail. We've talked about it enough for the last couple of months. I had to try a cougar tail. That is phenomenal. Does it need to be 16 inches? No, probably not. That is a gigantic maple bar. So me and my friend ended up splitting it. And so we ate to our full or to our fill, and we still had 8 inches left of the cougar tail. We only ate half of it. But I tell you what, I'm not a big maple bar guy. I'm just not a big maple bar guy. The donut part was delicious. And you know what? That might have been the best maple bar I've ever had. It was awesome. But people were buying those like crazy. I saw kids were buying like 2 each. They're just down in 32 inches of cougar tail. Couldn't believe it.
I'm not mature enough to have this conversation.
I know you're not. You're not. Neither is half of our chat, by the way. I posted that on social. I posted the cougar tail on social media. Did you see it?
I did, yes.
Somebody's first comment was like, "Is that suitable for work? Are you allowed to post that?" This is the audience that you help create.
I help create. Come on, dude. Really?
Yeah, you.
Okay.
You're the one that plays the phrasing thing all the time.
Yeah.
Where's the? Let me see if I can find it. Somebody posted that. Very risque. Are you allowed to show cougar tail here?
Phrasing.
It was delicious. I sent the picture to a couple of people, and they're like, "What is that? A giant Snickers bar?" I'm like, "No, it's a maple bar." It was great. Went up to Park City the next day because Sundays in Provo not really happening. If you know what I mean. There's not a lot really going on Sundays in Provo.
It's not a lively nightlife.
No, not a lively nightlife. So it's like a 45 to 50-minute drive to Park City. Park City was great. It was like this weather outside the whole time up in the mountains. Park City's great. Got to go to a lot of cool places. Stumbled across the best breakfast place in town, so that worked out.
There you go.
Went to the High West Distillery, which was fun. Got to try some bourbon and stuff. and then went back and went to the No Name Saloon in Park City, which was a legit place. Super cozy bar, like an old school cowboy saloon. It was awesome. They had the football games on, had a couple old fashions, had dinner, and then headed back to Provo. And that was kind of the weekend trip. It was a fun time up there in Salt Lake, Provo area. Woke up, there was tons of snow on the mountains. That was time for us to be like, it's time to get out of here. And so flew home yesterday, landed about noon, got to listen to you and Sam talk a little bit on the radio waves on the way to practice, and good overall weekend for your boy.
Got to see the Ducks last night too.
I got to see them score with 4 seconds left against the Utah Mammoth. I went to a sports bar across the street from the Utah Mammoth, by the way. And where the Jazz play, they play in the most corporate square building I've ever seen. It's just zero. I'm like, that's an arena? We went to this place that was like an event center kind of bar. It kind of looked like a Texas Live, LA Live kind of deal. And we were watching college games. We had to wait until the Airbnb was ready anyway. They had pigs in a blanket on the menu as an appetizer, so we got it. They were hot links, mini hot links, pigs in a blanket. They came in a trophy. Wow. They came in a trophy. It was hilarious. I'll show you those pictures so we could show them on the show. But overall, it was a good trip and a lot to talk about. And in college football, there's a lot to talk about in baseball. We got a lot of Padres news to talk about. We got a lot of what directions do the Padres going in free agency? What can they afford in free agency? Jeff Passan had a huge piece. I mean, the thing is like 8 days long. It's such a huge preview of the free agency period. We got to break that down as the show goes on. And by the way, since we're talking about college football, I mean, I talked about the off-field stuff that I got to experience. The overall on-field product for TCU is abysmal. But you know what the overall product was for San Diego State? Awesome. San Diego State had a good day against Boise State. San Diego State still in control of their own destiny for not only being in the Mountain West Championship game, but potentially hosting the Mountain West Championship game. I'll give you my thoughts about Aztec football when we continue on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97 through the Fan. It's not over, just getting started here on a Tuesday. Frank Marchese, Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show. San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3, The Fan. All right, tonight they unveil another edition of the college football playoff rankings. Don't want to spend too much time on that. That's kind of a joke. Did you see, by the way, this week or this weekend or whatever it was not too long ago in Charlotte that the Big Ten proposed a 24-team bracket?
Yes.
I'm on board with that.
Yeah,
the
I'm
only
good with
people
that.
that are not are the people that are in the SEC that think that they're just so much better than everybody else.
Oh, that's cool.
We'll talk about that later on. But tonight they'll have the unveiling of the top 25. I highly doubt that San Diego State is a member of the top 25 in college football.
They did get votes in the AP poll. They got 12 votes in the AP poll. So
That's great.
That's good after a bad loss to Hawaii. To come back the next week, beat Boise State, and still get votes, that is recognition. That is huge.
See, like, it's that's okay. But the reality is you have to know what's going on with these rankings. Now, if you want to think about the Aztecs sneaking their way into the college football playoff spot, here's the thing that's not great. In the AP poll, James Madison, North Texas, and Tulane are all ranked. UNT right now is not, if I'm not mistaken.
No, I think they got in. North Texas, I think, is 22 or 21 right now.
They are, but what I'm saying is they're not
in the
driver's seat for the American Conference Championship.
Gotcha.
The American Conference Championship right now has 4 teams at the top of the leaderboard. It's Navy, Tulane, UNT, and East Carolina. They all have 1 loss. Navy's 6-1, Tulane's 5-1, UNT's 5-1, East Carolina is 5-1. So that's the American Conference. All of those teams have 2 losses or more, with the exception of North Texas. They're 9-1 in the season. When you're looking again at the college football playoff deal. Now in the Sun Belt, here's the other bad news for the Aztecs is James Madison 7-0 in the Sun Belt and 9-1 on the season. That's another team that they'd probably take as the group of 5 representative in there, more than maybe a San Diego State with 2 losses, with 2 of those losses being against bad teams. I mean, Washington State losing to Oregon State was rough for you. If Washington State had, survived and been able to, sneak out a win at Ole Miss, which they almost did, and at Virginia, which they almost did, it might be a little bit of a different story. And then the other thing too, the Aztecs, if they would have showed up at Hawaii, they would be right that they'd probably be ranked in the college football playoff poll coming out tonight. And now all of a sudden you'd be sitting in a spot where not only did you beat Boise State, but you would be undefeated in Mountain West Conference play. And not only would you be hosting a Mountain West Conference championship game, but then you would be potentially playing in it to go to the college football playoff. Now you're playing in it to basically go to the LA Bowl, which is fine. Because you know what? Where Aztec football was the last couple of years and what they are now, it's awesome to see that they are right there for a Mountain West championship game. I said, did I not say at the beginning of the season, Frank, this team was going to win 8 games?
Yeah, you did.
They've won 8 games.
Yeah,
you know what? I'm going to be wrong because they're going to win 9 games, and they probably can win 10. New Mexico's good for what they are. They're 7-3 on the year. They destroyed UCLA this year on the road. And the Aztecs got to go to Albuquerque to finish the season. They have to be able to survive San Jose State, who looked awful. San Jose State looked so bad over the weekend against Nevada, and Nevada's only win in conference play. They looked so bad that they fired their special teams and I think offensive coordinators over the weekend. So San Jose State is that is a team that you have to absolutely handle this weekend if you're San Diego State. And then you get in a spot where you're probably in the Mountain West Championship game, and then a win over New Mexico would clinch that you would be able to host said Mountain West Championship game. I thought they played a hell of a game on Saturday. Now, it was raining, unfortunately, so there wasn't a lot of people there. And look at San Diego State. Look, I like what they did, and they're trying, okay? They're trying to get people to go to their games. They're lowering the prices for concessions now for certain things. They're going to do a deal for the San Jose State game, which I think is great. I think the school is slowly starting to try to get people to show up to their games. And they deserve to because they're about to win the Mountain West Championship. They have proven they're the best team in the Mountain West. I know they went to Hawaii and lost. I think it's a difficult task for a lot of players or a lot of teams. And they might be able to host Hawaii here in a second. This is why last week was so important, because now you're not in 4-2 purgatory in the Mountain West. If you look at the Mountain West standings, San Diego State's 5-1. They got a game lead on Fresno, Boise, New Mexico, UNLV, and Hawaii, who are all tied for second at 4-2. 5 teams get one spot in the Mountain West championship game. If you're the Aztecs, you've got to try to not be part of that pack, because it gets messy very quickly. And here's the thing. Those 5 teams that I mentioned, plus Utah State, could potentially all tie with 3 losses in the standings. Now, if they all tie with 3 losses in the standings, that means that the Aztecs lost to New Mexico. It's the only way that that ends up being true. But you could have a 6-way tie for second place in the Mountain West. Here's why this is important. This is why this win was so important for San Diego State. Because you look at what the tiebreakers are for the Mountain West Conference. Have you looked at these, Frank? We briefly discussed. But
I have not looked at them, no.
Number 1 is conference winning percentage. Obviously, if everybody's if everybody's got 2 losses or 3 losses, assuming nobody had to forfeit it, or nobody had to, played one less game or whatever it may be, that's going to go out the door. Then it's head-to-head result. Now you're going to have this battle of all these teams that have already played each other potentially or not. And then after that, it's computer ranking. And a composite of 4 computer rankings is used to break ties if head-to-head does not resolve the issue. So you could potentially be in a situation where you're just like hoping that your ranking is better than 5 other teams that all have the same record, because you're not playing everybody in your conference. And then they have winning percentage against common conference opponents, and then it gets down to a coin toss. I mean, that's the tie-breaking scenario for Mountain West football. That's why that game was so important for the Aztecs. And you know what? That was an old-school football game. What did they have? A combined 8 yards passing at halftime? It was 13 yards for Boise State, and San Diego State had -5 yards passing in the first half.
They had 121 yards passing total in the game, and Jaden Denegal contributed 17 of those 121 yards.
121 combined passing yards. You knew it was going to be ground and pound, and Lucky Sutton had a day, career night, for the local product at a Cathedral Catholic High School. 25 carries, 150 yards, and a touchdown. Or sorry, no touchdown. A reception of -4 yards. But he had 25 carries and 150 yards on the night. That was a great night for Lucky Sutton. That played out. I think the rain was definitely a bonus to San Diego State in this particular deal. So now Aztecs at 5-1, 8-2. They're going to need some help in the American Conference. They're going to need some help in the Sun Belt. And here's the thing: like they have to take a group of 5 team with the current playoff format. They have to. So it's, do you stack up against James Madison? What you basically are rooting for now to get in the dance, and this is kind of like this is the bracket buster kind of attitude you have to have. You need somebody other than James Madison to win the Sun Belt. Because all the other teams, and the Sun Belt still has divisions, so James Madison's got to be in the conference championship game. And the teams that they would play are either Southern Miss, who's 5-1 in conference and 7-3 overall, or Arkansas State, or even Troy. Those teams are 4-2, 5-5, 6-4. If Arkansas State or Troy win the Sun Belt's not in the college football playoff. You need James Madison to take an L in the Sun Belt if you want a chance. And then you look at the American Conference. I still think that whoever wins the American Conference will be in the college football playoff. But you have Navy that's 6-1. They'll probably be in that. Tulane, North Texas, East Carolina, South Florida. East Carolina and South Florida both have 3 losses. You need UNT to lose another game, and you probably need the champion of the American Conference to have maybe 3 losses. So that's what you're looking at if you want to see San Diego State in the college football playoff. I still think it's kind of a pipe dream, But it's still right there. And that's the thing with this, being able to compete for a conference championship. You set yourself up to potentially be in the college football playoff. Did you go to the game on Saturday?
I did not.
Too much rain for you.
I had a weird feeling on Saturday. I just wasn't feeling up to going out. Honestly, I probably wouldn't have gone regardless.
Right.
I plan on going this weekend though.
All right. I like the way Aztec football has been playing. You have to appreciate what they've done in the turnaround. Now with all the jobs being open, can you keep Sean Lewis? I think is a big question.
Yeah.
Maybe one more year, but I don't know about that. But you knew that was going to be the case. Now, San Diego State has to try to, keep things going with what they have, but continue the ride. If they could win a Mountain West championship in Sean Lewis' second year, by the way, everybody wanted him fired after the Washington State game. Do you remember all the comments? Yeah. Everybody remember the tweets? Sean Lewis isn't it.
Mm-hmm.
Really? They're going to be in the Mountain West championship game.
How about them Aztecs?
They're going to be in the Mountain West championship game. As long as they don't completely burn out in the next 2 weeks, which I don't think they will, Aztecs are going to be in the Mountain West championship game. And stop saying it's their schedule. Come on, man. Just, it is what it is.
The only tough opponent they haven't played in the Mountain West is UNLV.
Right.
That's the only one. And they're the only one with an 8-2 record. And rain does not make me cry. I love the rain. It's my favorite weather.
You would have melted.
I would not have melted.
UNLV, by the way, got smoked by that Boise State team.
Yes.
Okay. They beat Boise State. They beat Cal. If you look at the beginning part of the season and you had to sit there and be going through what games were going to be good, what games you thought San Diego State would win, the Cal and the Boise game were going to be tough.
And also you hold wins over the teams that are second and third in the conference right now. You beat Fresno State handily, and then you went and beat Boise State last week. Granted, Boise State did have their backup quarterback in. However, he wasn't doing much with the weather and how the game ended up turning out.
And then UNLV snuck out a win against Utah State last weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like they're a world beater. This is a perfect time for Aztec football, and they kind of need this. Now they just need to try to get a little bit more support.
It's a tough game for UNLV this week. They have Hawaii. Fortunately for them, it's in Vegas.
Yeah, that's a big game. They can knock out whoever loses that game is going to get knocked out, basically, unless there's more chaos with a bunch of teams losing 3 games.
And Hawaii's coming off a bye too, so that's a well-rested team in Hawaii.
Right. San Diego State football is they've been playing good football for what they have been, for what they are, doing a solid job. But it's not the worst conference in college football. The Sun Belt does exist. I know James Madison's good, but aside from that, and we can talk about college football later on, but I do want to dive into some of this baseball stuff about what's going on in the rumors around Major League Baseball. We got the latest updates for you about potential teams that are interested in certain players. Plus, we do want to take a dive in what Jeff Passan said. He had a lot of stuff to say about Luis Arraez. It doesn't really sound like he's going to be getting a big contract anywhere. How do Major League Baseball teams evaluate Luis Arraez? We'll tell you what Jeff Passan says when we return on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego Sports Station 97 through the Fan. August of 97 to the Fan. Join us on the David P. Shapiro Fan Hotline. David P. Shapiro, criminal defense attorneys helping good people regain control of their future when charged with the crime since 2010. Visit davidpshapirolaw.com. Just talked about Aztec football as they are a couple of wins away from hosting a Mountain West Championship game. I haven't even looked that far in advance. When will that game be? Friday the 5th? They usually play on the Friday night, I think. Mountain West Championship football game.
It would be on Friday, December 5th on Fox.
Yeah, it's a Fox deal, which means that was at a 5 o'clock start, maybe?
Yeah, 5 Pacific. Yep.
So a Friday night game. So that would be something to look forward to at Snapdragon Stadium, potentially, if the Aztecs can take care of business the next two rounds of the regular season. Now, we're going to be going back and forth between college football, the NFL, and baseball as we see baseball information and baseball news, especially some that involves the San Diego Padres. Now, today, and this article is so big on ESPN.com by Jeff Passan. There's a couple of things that we really want to discuss about the article throughout the week because it's so much to unpack. I think what you have to talk about first on this is not necessarily who potentially the Padres can go get in free agency or who's available out there. I think it's some of the players that are coming off the books and seeing if they're going to come back to the Padres or what their value is. And the thing is you look at this article by Jeff Passan, there's a big chunk that is devoted to one player that is now a former Padre. His name is Luis Arraez. And it's titled The Big Question. Jeff Passan puts in his article, and it's a preview of the offseason predictions, and everything like that. He does this every single year. He gives a full, in-depth look at free agent hitters, free agent pitching, trade candidates for pitching, trade candidates for offseason pickups, trade candidates for position players. I mean, he lays everything out there of ways that your favorite team could potentially improve their roster. But there's a chunk on just Luis Arraez, and it's labeled The Big Question. At 28 years old, it says, Luis Arraez is one of the youngest players available. Coming into the 2025 season, he won 3 consecutive batting titles, and this year he led the National League in hits. It sounds like the resume of someone primed to cash in. This is all information that we know. Obviously, I've watched Luis Arraez for the last, I don't know how many years. 2 years in a Padres uniform. Here's what Jeff Passan continues to say. Instead, teams can't help but see Arraez for everything he isn't, like a passable defender or a source of any power or even a halfway decent base runner. This is what he is being told other organizations see Luis Arraez is. Arraez is perhaps the greatest litmus test yet for the power of batting average in the modern game. He is an absolute contact savant, striking out only 21 times and 675 plate appearances a season, the lowest strikeout rate since Tony Gwynn was fanned 15 times and 577 plate appearances 30 years ago, and in a game in which offense has been poisoned by the punch out. Arraez's ability is worth a lot. That's all said by Jeff Passan, elegantly put. Just not enough in the minds of executives to warrant a big money deal. Arraez won't be begging for a job by any means, but because poor defense pushed him from second to first base, where he was not particularly adept to either, and his .292 batting average was barely better than a league average hitter, his contract offers won't be bustling. Arraez is generally great at what he does. What he does so great just happens not to be valued the way it used to be. What do you take away from that? Well, what I take away from that is there's not going to be a gigantic market for Luis Arraez. I don't think it's going to be very difficult to potentially bring him back if you want to bring him back. But where I think it becomes a problem for the Padres is a sense of, do they have the money to do what they need to do, right? That's question number one. With all the contracts that they have already put out, and, I don't know if anything with the sale has anything to do with how much money they get spent. We don't know what the books are. But the conversations that we've seen, like Jeff Passan later on in this article talks about Michael King getting a 3-year, $75 million deal. I think for a starting pitcher, that's relatively affordable for what you could get for Michael King, what you get out of Michael King. Yet we've heard, and we don't know yet for sure, we'll see what the actions are of the Padres, but we have heard from reports that Michael King might be good as gone. And if he's good as gone for 3 years, $75 million, which seems like a affordable contract for most pitchers that are starters that are good starting pitching, and with everybody that needs starting pitching, you would think 25 a year wouldn't be too much for a guy like Michael King. If that's too much for the Padres for Michael King, maybe it's not. Maybe it's other things. You don't want to put yourself in a position where you are competing with yourself for Luis Arraez. Like, I don't think Luis Arraez is worth anything close to $10 million a year. I mean, if you want to give him $5 to $7 million a year, I think it makes sense as long as it doesn't impact your ability to get starting pitching or it doesn't impact your ability to get a power hitter. I agree with some of Jeff Passan's points. Like, he does have a value for Major League Baseball. I just don't think it's worth the amount of money you might have to pay to have him on the team, especially for a team that has other needs. The contact portion of his game is not something the Padres need. They have contact hitters. Yes, I didn't strike out a lot. He puts the ball in play. But how much is that worth to you if you only have a budget of like maybe $30 million to spend on the year? Do you want to spend almost a third of that on just Luis Arraez, and then you have the rest of the 2/3 you have to deal with trying to upgrade the starting pitching, trying to get a power bat? I mean, you're not going to be able to do that for only $20 million or $22 million. That's assuming your budget's $30 million. It sounds like it's going to be business as usual for the San Diego Padres. That's all the reports that we continue to get from the organization, from the beat writers, from everybody that covers the Padres. So if it's going to be close to what happened last year, and last year's payroll was $211 million before, according to Fangraphs, before all the taxes and the fees, you're looking at a payroll right now of $201 million before you even pay anybody to come back. Now, that's including arbitrations. So maybe make some deals in arbitration, but give or take a couple mil, you're only $10 million away from that 211. You start looking at the luxury tax thresholds. Now, 2026, the lowest level is 244. So maybe they want to push it a little bit more. Maybe they want their payroll to be $230 million. I don't see that being the case. But if it is $230 million, that gives you $30 million to work with, give or take, and you're going to spend 8 of it on Luis Arraez. I just, if you're spending 5 of it on Luis Arraez, fine. Or if you want to give him a 3-year deal, but the other 2 years have opt-outs or have club options, I think you're more inclined to do that. I think this information that we get from Jeff Passan shows that the Padres can be able to bring Luis Arraez back for a lower price, because I don't think the market's going to be high for Luis Arraez. What does this expert mean to you? Frank, as you look at this and what Jeff Passan had to say, I mean, it's kind of relatively what we've already been talking about with Luis Arraez. I would love to have him back, but I don't necessarily want to give him more than $6 million a year to have this guy back.
No, it's not he's a role player. He's a bench player. As I've said it several times, his skills are from a bygone era where he's just a slap hitter. It's not going to be a big contract if he does come back. And I think he's got to understand that if he does go somewhere, it's not going to be for a large amount of money, unless he's doing what he did a couple years ago, where he's hitting 230, 220, 330, 320, and winning a batting title. He's just not valuable in this day of baseball the way he used to be.
I'm trying to see, like, because somebody's like, no way Arraez is taking less than $10 million a year. Who's paying that?
Yeah, exactly.
Who's paying? Like, he's taking whatever somebody offers. And based on what Jeff Passan has said, that's not worth the money for Luis Arraez for a lot of organizations. So unless it's the Padres paying him that, because maybe the Padres value him a little bit more, I just don't see him getting that kind of money. Because I agree with you, Frank. The guy's a role player bench piece on good teams. Is he not?
Yeah.
On good teams. Is he an everyday starter on the Pirates? Absolutely. So you know what? If the Pirates want to give him $10 to $12 million a year, they can. Go for it.
What's the most you would give him for a 3-year contract?
3 years, $18 million. It gives him 6 a year.
I wouldn't even do that.
6 a year is like, in this day and age, it's like nothing.
I'd do 12 to 15.
12. It's $4 million a year.
4 to 5, yeah.
He's not going to sign that. That's so. If you want him back, it's like $6 million a year max. But even then, in year 3 of that deal, if he's a bench, that's a borderline expensive bench piece for a team that needs the money for other things. This is why I don't want to see the Padres bring back Luis Arraez unless it's something as cheap as what we just discussed. Because you need the money for pitching. You need the money for a power bat. And if you're going to be the only organization that gives him close to $10 million a year, then you're wasting money on a guy like Luis Arraez. You would have to be. And nobody's saying he's a bad player, but in this day and age of baseball, the way things are trending, the way baseball is being played, and the way that Luis Arraez doesn't bring you other intangibles. Like, to me, if Luis Arraez was a great fielder, Frank, you could justify give him $10 million a year.
Yeah.
Because he is a great contact hitter, high average guy, and he has something else. He only has high contact and high batting average. That's the only thing he brings to the table. I know a lot of people that call in and disagree, like, well, I watch him, and he does a good job when I watch him doing X, Y, Z. Yeah, he's played okay.
Yeah,
he's
cool.
still a Major League Baseball player, but in comparison to other Major League Baseball players, he's a below-average fielder. He's a below-average base runner. He doesn't have any power. The only thing he brings to the table is the fact that he can hit for a high average. And he doesn't strike out. Yes, there's a value to that, but if you're the part of your game, you only have one part of your game that is at elite level, and everything else is mediocre or low, he's not worth $10 million a year, not when you can use that money for other things. If the Padres had more money to spend, yeah, for sure. Sign him for under $10 million a year. That's great. But when you have the starting rotation that you currently have, and you might not have the money to bring back Michael King at 3 years, $75 million, then you're not in the market to sign Luis Arraez. That's the conversation. The conversation's not whether or not he's a good player, Frank.
No.
That's not the conversation we're having. The conversation is, with the money that the Padres need to spend on XYZ, can you afford, because this is an extra thing. This is an extra thing. You're going to buy a car. You're going to buy whatever you want to buy. You're going to buy, like, you got a fixed amount of money you can spend. He, unfortunately, is the one asset that gets the first cut. Right?
Mm-hmm.
If you think about, like, okay, for maybe a little bit more, I can get this, but that's over my budget. I got to make this under a certain budget. What do you absolutely need in the new car? If you're going to buy something, you want to get a little bit more than stock. What do you absolutely need in the car? It's like, I want, and this is like back in the day when everything wasn't awesome in stock cars. I have to have air conditioning. That's like number one I have to have. I have to have air conditioning in my car. Can I go with rolling up windows in order to get the air conditioning? You know what? Sure. I'm just using these as examples. But to me, when you look at, you're building out the car that you want, you have those items in mind that you absolutely have to have. And Arraez is not one of those items. He's one of those extra items. He's like, oh yeah, a little bit nicer interior at the end. Or you know what? Maybe I get the seat warmers. You can survive without the seat warmers in your car. But a lot of people don't, they want the air conditioning, right? So he's like so low on the priority list. He can't take away from the things you actually need, which is starting pitching and a power bat. Starting pitching and a power bat. That's what you need if you're the Padres. And you know what? He could sign somewhere else and do a really good job. And guess what? You don't have. I'm sorry. That's okay. That's going to happen. You have to make decisions like this when you're operating on a budget, Frank.
Oh, absolutely. And I don't think that for all the other team needs that this organization has, starting pitching being the big one, power hitting is the next one. It's not, he just doesn't fit. He just does not fit in this organization right now. He doesn't.
He's the, I don't want to use the term, he's the luxury you currently can't afford.
Yeah.
If you can upgrade your starting pitching, and you can get a power bat, and you still have money left over to pay Luis Arraez, then yeah, I'm in. Sounds good. But if Luis Arraez's contract takes away from getting a guy that can hit for power, or being able to get another good starter in your rotation, or if he prevents you from potentially signing Michael King, then I think it's a bad move. Here's the other thing, too. If the Padres, like, the conversation of, like, if the Padres do this offseason, they go sign Luis Arraez, and then Michael King signs elsewhere for a contract that you think is affordable. If you knew you were never going to get Michael King and you wanted to bring something back, I'm kind of okay with that. But I don't see them spending the money on a guy like Luis Arraez, especially not after what Jeff Passan said. That is one of the excerpts that we'll talk about. We'll talk more about Jeff Passan's article in just a little bit. But what else is going on in baseball in terms of rumors? There might be a big battle in the move to Pittsburgh. We'll talk about it when we come back. This hour on 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by Toyota of Poway, voted San Diego's #1 Toyota dealer by USA Today. It's the season to save at Toyota of Poway, voted San Diego's #1 Toyota dealer by USA Today. The Black Friday sales event is on with brand new Toyotas in stock and ready to roll. Hurry to Toyota of Poway or toyotaofpoway.com and drive home happy this holiday. I think if people were listening closely to the last segment, they would come to the conclusion, Frank, that it's not realistic to bring back Luis Arraez.
I would agree with that, yes.
I believe that every player does have value to a team. Like I'm not going to sit here and say Luis Arraez brings no value to a Major League Baseball team. But from the standpoint of the Padres, he's not an everyday player for the Padres. He's not. I know he was last year. I know they put him in there. But on this roster, he can't. What? What'd you do?
No, it's this mouse. It's driving me nuts.
He doesn't fit. You have an outfield already built in. He's not better than any of the outfielders you have, right? He's not an outfielder. Right? So you can eliminate those positions. He's not playing third. He's not playing shortstop. He's not better at second base than Jake Cronenworth is. And he's not going to catch. So it only leaves one spot, and that's at first base. And what does this team need? This team needs more slug. This team needs a guy with some pop. This team needs a home run guy. This team needs somebody that can put the ball in the seats or at least in the gap. Arraez is not that guy. So now you're talking from the standpoint of, well, is he a bench piece? Yeah, he's better than everybody that they would have on the bench. He would be a bench guy. He'd be a spot start guy. Right? You'd basically use him to be kind of like a Jurickson Profar. But the thing with Profar is Profar can do a lot of different things at a high level. Like Arraez only can hit. Like he can only hit for average. He's not bringing any slug. His OPS numbers are not very good. He doesn't walk, and he doesn't. The only thing that's a benefit is he puts the ball in play and he doesn't strike out. There's a value there. But the value to the Padres for Luis Arraez is the fact that they like him. He's a clubhouse guy, high contact, and you know what? He's probably a bench piece. How much do you want to spend? How much do you want to spend on a guy like Luis Arraez? That's a bench piece. How much do you want to spend on one bench piece that's not going to get every day at bats, that's not going to start every single day? That is what you can bring Luis Arraez back for. Now, a lot of people are smart enough to understand that Luis Arraez is not going to probably sign for that. And so you know what? You've come to the conclusion of, Frank,
bye.
It's time to let him go. It doesn't make any sense. This is the conclusion of why it doesn't make any sense. If you want to give him a deal that's low in like $5 million for this year, and then it's a club option for the next 2 years because the guy balls out and you put incentives in, you can bring him back for that. But as mentioned before, what do you need on this team? There's two major things that you need on this team.
Pitching and power.
Starting pitching and power. He needs to be lower on the priority list. If you get everything done and you have money left over for Luis Arraez to be a bench piece, sure, bring him back. I don't care. I think you can have the argument that that money could be used for another arm. But you could do a lot worse than Luis Arraez was my whole take on it. But this is how you have to value it from a team perspective. Like now for the Pirates. Let's talk about the Pirates for a second. Like Luis Arraez could probably play in a lot of different spots for the Pirates. He's probably an everyday starter for the Pirates. And you know what? He's probably a big enough name that they would consider him to be their like big star that they signed. I don't think I'm wrong on that, Frank.
No.
They could afford to give Luis Arraez $10 million a year or $8 million or something that might be more his caliber spot. But then if you're the Pirates, you're like, what do we need this guy for? Aside from thinking he's going to sell you some seats, which I don't really think he is. So when you start looking at bringing back certain players, I think we had this conversation a couple years ago with Gary Sanchez. You have to understand how much money that they have, or give at least a ballpark, because you're never going to know how much money they're willing to spend, and understand the priority of what they need. And then on top of that, understand of what kind of value does he bring for your team, and is he worth that percentage of the money you have to spend? And if the player that you're thinking about does not bring the value to your team to warrant the percentage of the pie he's supposed to get, then guess what? He's not a good sign for the club. That's the whole part of this conversation. I know there's a lot of Luis Arraez lovers out there. There's a lot of people out there that love Luis Arraez and want to see him in a Padres uniform and all that stuff. He doesn't fit this team moving forward. Again, I'm not opposed to bringing him back as long as it doesn't affect the starting pitching budget, affect the slug budget, and gets him here as a bench piece. Because to me, that's where he fits in on this team, as a bench piece and a spot starter. There might be people that disagree with that, but he's not worth the $10 million if it affects how much you bring back when it comes to starting pitching. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. I've been waiting for this phone call because I knew as soon as I talked about Luis Arraez and they shouldn't bring him back, I knew I was getting a call from this guy. Brad in Escondido. Luis Arraez fan number 1 wants to weigh in. What's going on, Brad?
Braden, you're killing me, man. You're killing me. Come on. Remember why Tony Gwynn was so good? Alan Wiggins. Alan Wiggins would get on, and then Tony would give him a hit. Arraez is – who else do you want with less than 2 outs, a man on third, based on our lineup? Who do you want? Do you want Alonso or do you want Arraez? And the question is, it's Arraez because he makes contact and you get a run.
I mean, I don't disagree with him being up with guys on base and 2 outs. But the problem is, Brad, is they use them at the as the number 2 spot, and you can't spend $10 million on a guy that doesn't fit as part of your team. He's got to bring me something else if he's just a high contact guy. And the other thing, and Brad, I appreciate the phone call. I can't give that guy $10 million if it then limits my ability to improve the thing that matters the most. And right now it's starting pitching. There's sometimes you got to just say, thank you for your service. Thanks for the memories. And let the guy walk. Because he might be getting something more somewhere else than what you are willing to pay or what you need for your team. Al in San Diego, you're on the Braden Surprenant show. What's going on, Al?
Hey, how you doing? Okay, about Luis, the years he won the batting titles, was he batting first?
Sometimes he did, sometimes he didn't.
Okay, you got to hit him on first or batting first, and you got guys to knock him around. If he doesn't get on, you don't need a big bopper.
Is that worth, Al? Is that worth not signing Michael King?
I have no idea about it. I'm talking about him.
I know. Well, I'm talking about him. This is how you put him on the roster. Is he worth $10 million to do that? Is that worth $10 million? A guy that gets on base but doesn't walk. Is that worth $10 million to your team and $10 million out of your starting rotation? That's the question. That's the question about Luis Arraez. You got to try to fit him on the team, Al. I mean, yeah, that's great. But I can't spend $10 million on Luis Arraez just getting on base on singles and then not go get a power hitter. That's not worth. That's how you have to value this. You're not, again, you can't just look at it as like, well, yeah, he gets us on base. And wouldn't you want him to hit with guys on base? Yeah, in an ideal world, I'd love that. Is that worth $10 million to the San Diego Padres? No, it's not. I disagree. You can't view it in a vacuum because this is what the situation is at hand. And Al, I appreciate the phone call, man. You're not wrong. Him getting on base and guys driving him in is great. But you know what? What did the Padres do last year? They did that. And you know what they didn't do? Score a lot of runs. You can't. If you bring back, and this is the argument that I've heard from people that don't. I'm in the middle. I think there's pros and cons to this, but based on the money, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Now, here's the deal. To some people that don't want to have Arraez back at all, right? And they always talk about there's no value there. Like you have to use him for other particular spots. Like you got to use the money for other spots in the order. Their biggest argument is with the way that the offense was last year, if you sign Luis Arraez back, you're not changing anything. It's the exact same offense as last year. So what's your upgrade, Frank? If you bring back Luis Arraez, guess what? Your starting 9 is the exact same starting 9 as it was all year last year.
Yep.
You don't think they're just not, what are they going to do? Like not bat him number 2 now? Is that what they're not going to do? I mean, you would be doing the exact same thing you did last year.
That's the only thing you
and
can do.
everybody complained about the offense.
It's the only thing you could do is move him in the order. If you're going to run the same exact thing out, the only thing you could do is shuffle the order.
Right. And as Eric said in the chat, but Luis didn't do that many times this year. And again,
Right.
and I
That's
appreciate the
point.
phone call by Al. When he was winning batting titles, he's not winning batting titles anymore. When he was winning batting titles, he was hitting over 320 and had high OPS numbers and was driving in runs. The guy was doing a great job. But now his swing speed's getting lower. I mean, his numbers are going down. It's not, I know he's 28, but things are not getting better. And so to me, just getting on base, which by the way, he doesn't walk, so he only does it based on singles. It's not worth the money that you would have to spend to make him part of your team. And if you have him start at first base or start as a DH, that's a power bat out of your lineup. Now, if you want to trade Jake Cronenworth away, you could go re-sign Luis Ariz. That's something you can do. If you trade away Jake Cronenworth and free up that money, you can give Ariz a contract that's less than Jake's slightly, and now you have a guy that could play, I don't know, second base, first base, wherever you want. Probably more second. You need a spot for a guy to hit home runs. He needs to play somewhere. You have Gavin Sheets right there on the bench as well. I mean, is he going to DH? Is he going to play first?
To that point, though, that you'd mentioned before, with Ariz, if Ariz is in, it's a power bat out of the lineup. What were we screaming about the entire second half of the season after the trade deadline?
Ryan O'Hearn.
Where is Ryan O'Hearn?
Right.
Where is Ryan O'Hearn? He's a power hitter. He plays first base. Where is Ryan O'Hearn? He's sitting on the bench to give Luis Ariz at bats.
Correct.
That's why. That's what you're missing. So you've already been screaming to replace this guy. And now that the opportunity has presented itself to replace him, now you don't want to get rid of him.
Right. You have to think about it from this perspective. Like, people are like, why don't you do both? Well, where are they going to play? I think you need more than just one power bat. I would consider Gavin Sheets a power bat, right?
Yes.
You need another one. So if Gavin Sheets is DH, that means Ariz has to play first. Who else is coming out of the lineup? You taking Laureano, Tatis, or Merrill out of the lineup?
God, no.
No. I'm not taking any of those guys out of the lineup. You taking Manny or Xander out of the lineup? No. You can't take Freddie Fermin out of the lineup. He's your catcher. So if you sign a power bat and you do bring back Luis Ariz, someone's splitting time. And you know what you're not going to do? You're not going to have your DH split time with another power DH when you need more slug. This is the situation that the Padres are dealing with Luis Ariz. He doesn't fit the team. You're trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. That's the point of my argument for this entire conversation. 833-288-973, 833-288-973. John and Escondido, you're on the Braden Surprenant Show. What's going on, John?
Hey, gentlemen. I always love listening to your show. There's not enough time to give you on the day, but so my point is, right, we had Juan Soto, right, paid him a lot of money. He had some pop, but he walked more than he hit, and he got on base. He really didn't steal any bags, right? So if you're comparing him to people that, don't run the bags really well, don't hit for power, he's right in that hole with Juan Soto. Now, Juan Soto did a little bit better when we left the Padres, but, he was getting on base, but he was getting on base via walks, and not hits, and an occasional home run. He was willing to leave a guy at second base and not try to hit him in, and he'd take that walk, just to get doubled up. That's my take.
Did we just call Juan Soto a non-power hitter?
We just called him Luis Ariz.
Okay. Well, no, you compared it to Juan Soto, though.
Juan Soto in 162 games with the Padres in 2023 when he's an all-star had a 5.3 WAR and hit 275. Okay, what did Ariz hit last year? 292?
Something like that. And again, remember,
he's like 20 points behind Luis Ariz. 275 in Major League Baseball right now is a high average. He hit 275 with a 410 on base percentage and a 930 OPS with a 155 OPS plus, and he hit 35 home runs as a Padre. Drastically different comparison. Drastically different. Juan Soto's got power, on base, slug, average, and now he steals bases. He had 38 stolen bases for the Mets last year.
Yeah, that's something he's learned how to do amazingly.
And he walked. Not only did he get hits, he also walked. Like, that's also a good thing. Arise only does one thing, and it's singles. Juan Soto did multiple things. He hit for power. 35 home runs in a Major League Baseball season is hitting for power. Is it not?
Yes.
Did anybody on the Padres hit 35 home runs last year?
No.
I'm just off the top of my head. I don't think anybody did. I don't think anybody hit 35 home runs last year. Did Manny get to at least 30? I'd have to look it up. I can't remember off the top of my head. He hit 35 home runs in 2023 as a full season member of the San Diego Padres. The Padres' highest home run hitter, guy who led in home runs last year, was Manny with 27. Juan hit 8 more. I mean, I'm telling you, he does a lot more.
Juan hit 8 more while hitting like 220 for the first 2 months of the year.
That's a guy that's driving in runs.
Awful.
That's a guy that's driving in runs.
Met fans were ready to run him out of the country, let alone the city.
He had over 100 RBIs. Luis Ariz had 61 RBIs last year. And in his Padres career, he had 61 RBIs and he had 41 RBIs. Juan Soto had 109. Juan Soto in one season has had more RBIs than Luis Ariz. One season with the Padres, Juan Soto had more RBIs than both Ariz years combined. If you want to talk about run production, I'm just the comparison to Juan Soto. I feel like people just assume that he walked every time and didn't do anything. I mean, look at his numbers. Interesting comparison, Frank. Ryan in Chula Vista, you're on the Braden Surprenant show. What's going on, Ryan?
Hey, Braden. Hey, you hit the nail on the head earlier. Jake Cronenworth is the one that needs to be traded. You free up the spot. I think Jake is getting $12 million. Like you said, $10 million for Arias. You could free up $2 million to repurpose probably for your bench position. And then reports came out earlier today that Red Sox are shopping either Duran or Abreu. There's a right-handed hitter in Abreu. I don't know if maybe that would be a trade partner against the Cronenworth, something like that. And the last piece was Juan Soto was a clubhouse cancer. A lot of players have already admitted to it or spoken out unofficially. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ryan. We were just talking about the comparison on field for Juan Soto. Just the on-field comparison on the whole, money thing. 833-288-973, 833-288-973. Talking a lot about Luis Ariz today. He's a good player that has some value, but the value that you have to pay for Luis Ariz does not fit the Padres. That's our take today, because that was one of the big clips of this Jeff Passan article previewing the free agency. Was he's kind of the biggest question, because a lot of teams don't really value his high batting average, and that being the only thing that he does. Do the Padres, and how much money is that worth to the organization or short to the Padres bringing him back? That's the conversation we're having. 833-288-973, 833-288-973. Braden Surprenant show continues. San Diego State Sports Station 97 through the Fan. All guests on 97 to the Fan. Join us on the David P. Shapiro Fan Hotline. David P. Shapiro, criminal defense attorneys helping good people regain control of their future. When charged with a crime since 2010, visit davidpshapirolaw.com. I'm Braden Surprenant. He's Frank Marchese. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local each and every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan. The big question, Luis Arraez, this offseason, not just for the Padres, but what is he going to get in free agency, seems to be an interesting conversation for most people in Major League Baseball. As according to Jeff Passan's preseason or pre-off-season preview, if you will. The off-season preview. So, we will discuss that as the show goes on. And a lot of people want to weigh in. To me, what he brings to the team is not worth the cost in the collective terms of the overall team. You know, some teams have to abide by a certain salary cap of their own, of how much they can and cannot afford. It's like the NFL. The NFL's got a salary cap. Everybody's got to abide by the same salary cap. There's a lot of teams and organizations that have certain thresholds as put on by their ownership groups of like what they can and cannot afford. Again, at the same time, you can't run a business and not try to make money. Otherwise, it's not a business. So every organization is trying to run a business. They want to make money as owners of a business, and they're trying to do what it's necessary to make said money. That's every organization. Now, they all have different thresholds. After 2027, who knows? There might be a salary cap for everybody. But in the National Football League, which makes it easier, is everybody abides by the same cap, which means if you spend a certain percentage of that cap on a player, you have less of a percentage to spend on other players that you need to fill out the roster. So for every percentage of your budget you spend on a rise, that's less money you're spending on other areas. And based on our conversation that we've had over the last almost hour already, we have, at least on the show, come to the conclusion that what you would have to do to spend, like what you would have to spend to keep Luis Arraez does not fit the value that he brings to the organization. A lot of people disagree. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Let's get out to Neil in San Carlos. Neil, you're on the Braden Surprenant Show. What's going on, man?
Hey, Braden. How's it going, buddy?
Doing well. What do you got for us?
Well, I think that money aside, I think that the real issue is Luis Arraez is a square peg, and the Padres are just a round hole as they're constructed. He just doesn't fit. He's a good player, but he's only a good player in the right situation. The Padres have Sheets, who's left-handed, who's going to DH. They have Cronenworth, who's left-handed, who's going to play first base. Now, Arraez hits for better average than Croney, but Croney has a better on-base percentage, has more power, has more slug. So you're not really gaining anything by playing him over Cronenworth. You're not, and having him on the roster as another lefty who doesn't do things great just creates another logjam like we had all last season, and it's a real headache for the manager because in the back of the manager's mind, it's like, well, I got this 3-time batting champion just sitting there. But it's just, to me, it just doesn't fit. Square peg, round hole. That's my take.
I agree with you, Neil. That's kind of some of the conversation that we've been having. He is a square peg in a round hole. You have to start looking. And he brings up a good point. It's like you got a 3-time batting champion there. If you're a manager for a team, Frank, and you got a 3-time batting champion on your team, what do you have to say? You have to say he's got to play.
Yeah.
You have to play him.
We've never disagreed with this going all back through last year. We never disagreed with Schulte playing him last year. The disagreement was, why in the world is he insistent on hitting him second? That was the biggest thing. We never once wanted him out of the lineup. We just wanted him moved in it.
But now you have to start looking at what the lineup currently is. And right now, every spot for your starter is filled with the exception of first base. Correct?
Correct.
And so you got to start playing the game. Like, is Luis Arraez better than these three? Is he better than any of the outfielders to play him over the outfielders?
No.
No, he's not. Is he better than any of the middle infielders to play him over the middle infield?
Nope.
No. Is he better than the corner infielders?
No.
Currently, he's better than nothing at first base.
True.
But aside from that, that's it. And he's not going to catch. Square peg, round hole. Now, when we come back, because he's calling in right now, we're going to get to Brian Quinn. He is the head coach of the University of San Diego. They won their 4th straight West Coast Conference championship on Saturday in a big win over Oregon State. They are now playing in the NCAA tournament. We'll talk with Brian Quinn about his Toreros when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. You can't count on much, but you can always count on Sundays with the NFL and CBS and Paramount Plus. Stream your local NFL game live every Sunday, all season long, starting at just $30 for your first year. That's like $250 a month. Visit ParamountPlus.com/NFL to get started today. We've had a lot of great soccer in town here in San Diego, not only at the youth level, not at the pro level, but also at the college level, as the University of San Diego has won their 4th consecutive West Coast Conference championship, ranked in the top 10 in men's soccer, at the collegiate level, the D1 level, and now getting ready to play in the NCAA tournament as they host, yet again, the first round of the NCAA tournament. And joining me on the Braden Surprenant show is the one at the helm of this team, longtime soccer player, now a longtime San Diego resident who has taken over the USD program a handful of years ago and has now won his 4th straight West Coast Conference title. His name is Brian Quinn. He joins us on the Braden Surprenant show. Brian, what's going on? How are you doing? What's happening on a Tuesday?
Thanks for that introduction, Braden. Very humbling, but looking forward to the weekend. We'll play the winner of UCLA or Grand Canyon, who play on Thursday night. So looking forward to it.
And we're looking forward to it as well. And going into last weekend, it was kind of had a lot of things at stake, a win, and you were definitely going to win the West Coast Conference. You've now done something, Coach, that no West Coast Conference men's soccer program has ever done. 4 consecutive championships. When the final whistle blew in Corvallis, what was the first thing that went through your mind about this particular group and their place in USD soccer history?
Yeah, it's a unbelievable feeling when you accomplish something that you put your mind to at the beginning of the year. And what we didn't want to do, Braden, at the beginning of the year was say, let's try and win 4. Let's try and win 4. Our focus was, let's try and win a WCC championship and in the early part of the year. And then as we got closer towards the end of the year, we knew if we won the last 4 games, would be the champions game. And so we kind of created the narrative for our players that it's not about winning the WCC. It's about being the first team ever in the WCC conference to win 4 in a row. And our kids embraced it. Took the bull by the horn, so to speak, and played really, really well down the stretch.
And it wasn't easy, Coach. I mean, your guys had to come back a couple of times this year, but Oregon State scored 2 minutes in, and you guys never flinched, not only equalizing quickly, but finishing the game with 3 late goals. What did you see in your group's mentality that allowed them to flip a hostile road environment into one of your best performances this year?
I think we felt in the first half, Oregon State had a good home crowd out there. It was a cold, brisk evening. And then at halftime, we tweaked a few players around and changed our lineup a little bit, and first of all stopped them being dangerous, and then scored a goal off a corner kick. Steven Ramirez flicked a ball in from the near post on a header. Then they tied it up, and there was only about 8-9 minutes left, and Josh Martinez stepped up and scored a wonderful free kick, got us the lead, and then we scored a counter-attacking goal later on. So I think overall, our conference was one of the strongest in the country, and it was one of the reasons why we set up a very, very difficult non-conference schedule. We went to Duke, we went to Denver, we had Kansas City, who were all ranked in the top 20. So it was a really, really challenging schedule, but the kids were ready for it.
We're talking with head coach of USD men's soccer, Brian Quinn, coming off of their 4th consecutive West Coast Conference championship. They have earned the number 9 seed, a first-round bye in the NCAA tournament. And they'll be hosting some of the NCAA tournament here at the University of San Diego in not too long here. But talking about your team, I mean, you've said it for years, depth wins championships. This year, 10 different Toreros have scored. Ian Wagner, Steven Ramirez, Cesar Bahena, all stepping up. How intentional has that balance been in your system, and how does having so many scoring threats change what you can do tactically in the NCAA tournament?
It's a big plus to have that many goal scorers on the team, and a couple of other guys that can contribute, like Sammy Canan's a goal scorer, Oliver Rose can score goals, Taj Eagleson can score goals. So we do have a lot of firepower, and I think, just as you mentioned there, Braden, that we with 4 key players out for that Oregon State game. A guy started the season in goal has been injured. Adam Salama was out. Simon Deuce, who was freshman of the year a few years ago, was out. And then we had Ollie Rhodes, who's one of our starters, and he was out with a foot injury. And then Mateus Bauer, who was our starting center back, had a concussion, is out for the rest of the season. So the fact that you just mentioned the depth, I think it's very apropos, because without us having that depth, we wouldn't have won the 4th championship.
And talking about it from a defensive standpoint, Coach, I mean, your teams have always had some pretty good defenses, have defended with pride. 5 straight shutouts in the middle of conference play, lockdown effort on senior night, 9 clean sheets total. What's been the foundation of that defensive identity this season, and how have you seen leaders like Luka Adams, Ethan Warren, and that senior group set the tone?
That group that's been here for all 4 years and won the championships, I think they've got better every single year, in their roles defensively. And we felt that we got a great compliment last year from Oregon State coach. He said that, it was the best group defensively they'd faced throughout the year, and they were very, very good attacking team. So I think that there's comfort without the ball, that we feel confident that, we'll be in the right positions and we won't give up easy chances. That's number one. And then I think the second part about that is that, you've good individuals who make plays when it matters, whether it's the goalkeeper recently, Luka Adams, or, Ethan Warren, or Josh Martinez has been sensational when he stepped back in to play center back.
You've been part of USD soccer for 15 seasons. You've played professionally, coached professionally, yet you always talk about USD like it's a vocation more than a job. What makes this program so personal for you, and how do you try to pass that connection on to your players at the University of San Diego?
Yeah, we're a small part of the big picture here at the University of San Diego. I think that the mantra is that, when you come to this school, what can you give back that enhances, the soccer program, number one, but also the university. And our kids have been great off the field. I mean, they just are so giving of their time when we ask them, to make appearances within the community. And I think that endears them to the university, first of all, but also the surrounding Linda Vista area and San Diego community.
You've earned the number 9 seed, national number 9 seed, first round bye. You wait for either UCLA or Grand Canyon. What's the focus for the group this week, and what does having the home crowd behind you at Torero Stadium mean as you try to make another deep postseason run?
Before we kick the ball at the start of the season, we always feel that you want to try and get a home game. That's number one. As the season wore on, I mean, the goal became, can we get a bye? Because that gives you a little bit extra rest time and preparation for the team you're going to be playing. So we achieved both those goals, and now we'll be diligent and scouting and watching, and both UCLA and in Grand Canyon, and we'll be glued to the TV on Thursday evening to see who comes out the winner there. Both talented teams. If I was to pick one, I don't think I could right now. I think UCLA may have the advantage because they're playing at home. But Grand Canyon's got a sensational forward who can score at any time.
Should be a fun run. Again, like last year, Coach Quinn, thanks again for joining us today, and good luck the rest of the way as the city cheer you on.
Thanks, Braden. Thank you. Much appreciated.
Brian Quinn, head coach of the University of San Diego men's soccer program, as they have won their 4th consecutive West Coast Conference championship. And that was a thriller coming down to the weekend. We talked about it with Drake Hills on Friday. San Diego had to win. I mean, there was no draw and potentially tie. It was a 3-way, 3 teams had an opportunity to win the West Coast Conference on Saturday. Oregon State, USD, and Portland. Any type of draw would have gone to Oregon State. A win for Portland and a loss for San Diego. All of a sudden, Portland's tied with Oregon State, and Portland tied Oregon State. There would be a tiebreaker. Maybe Portland wins the West Coast Conference. And then the only way for San Diego to win their 4th consecutive West Coast Conference title was by beating Oregon State on Saturday, a place that they didn't lose at all this year. Give Oregon State their first loss at home, and now they got their 4th consecutive West Coast Conference title. And now they get to host the NCAA tournament, at least the first couple of rounds, and a first round bye. They await the winner of UCLA and Grand Canyon. We'll keep you updated on how the Toreros do in the NCAA tournament in men's soccer. It's time now to get to today's sports thread. What's going on in sports not locally? Let's find
You
out.
know that group chat, the one that's always blowing up with the biggest sports takes, debates, and breaking news?
You got barbecue back there, and you didn't invite me?
Yeah, we've got that too. Welcome to the Sports Thread, where we break down the top 5 stories in sports, just like you would with your crew.
Oh, no! Disaster! What a bad idea!
No filters, no silence, just real talk. Brought to you by QC Kinetics. Stop sitting on the sidelines. QC Kinetics gets you back in the game without surgery. To learn how, visit QCkinetics.com.
All right, Frank, what do we got today?
A good amount, actually. It did not take me too long to build this last night because there was a lot of stuff that went on yesterday.
Number 1.
Virginia Tech has officially hired James Franklin. We had mentioned it on the show yesterday, but we didn't dive into it. Virginia Tech has hired James Franklin to be its next head football coach. The school announced yesterday. He will be formally introduced tomorrow morning at a news conference. Franklin was originally owed $49 million in a buyout after being fired by Penn State on October 12th. But part of his deal with the Hokies includes a $9 million settlement from the Nittany Lions. Franklin went 128 and 60 over 12 seasons at Penn State and 3 at Vanderbilt. He brings a resume that includes winning more than 68% of his games, an appearance in the 2024 college football playoff semifinals, and a Big Ten championship back in 2016. He will replace his former defensive coordinator, Brett Pry, who was fired in September after an 0-3 start. I'm expecting Virginia Tech to get a wave of commitments after this hiring.
I would imagine so too. I think it's a good hire for Virginia Tech. I think James Franklin's a really good coach, and sometimes the grass isn't always greener, right? I mean, if you're Penn State, I mean, it's hard to do. It's hard to do better than 10-2 every single year. And the fact that was one bad season for Penn State, and they obviously jumped ship, it's it's an interesting call. But a lot of colleges are going to that direction, and the coaching carousel this year is going to be crazy. But Virginia Tech got their guy. You know what? That's a big hire for Virginia Tech. Sandstorm has meaning now.
Yes.
It has meaning again. Enter Sandman has meaning again, is what I should say. Enter Sandman has meaning again in Blacksburg.
Yeah, Sandstorm.
Sandstorm is South Carolina. Enter Sandman is
yeah.
Virginia Tech. Enter Sandman has meaning again.
I mean, for James Franklin, we knew that it was a term of the buyout that he had to be actively searching for jobs, whether it be in television or on the sidelines, in order for him to get that money from Penn State. From what I remember hearing, that it was Penn State had to pay the difference of whatever new contract he got. So if he got a 2-year contract, I don't remember exactly how much he was supposed to make every year.
They renegotiated, and Penn State's got to pay him $9 million a year or something.
Right. But I remember hearing that
they had to pay the difference if he got a D1 job.
Yeah, like say
or a
he got
job. He needed a job in football.
Yeah, like say he got a $2 million contract, just throw out a number, and the contract he was getting at Penn State was $8 million. So Penn State had to pay $8 million a year. That was just throwing out numbers. I don't know if that's what that $9 million payment is, or if that's done now. Like Penn State is on the hook for no more money.
I don't know if that was 9 a year or just 9 total. Whatever that money, whatever that allotment is that they put in there is probably what they have to pay, and that's it.
So that sounds like he got a deal close to what Penn State gave him.
He probably got a big contract. Teams are still giving out these gigantic contracts to coaches, which is crazy. Like, I'd rather save money on a coach and pump into more players at this point.
Right.
Number 2.
Cincinnati Bengals wide receiver Jamar Chase has been suspended 1 game without pay for spitting on Pittsburgh Steelers defender Jalen Ramsey, the league announced. Chase is appealing the suspension, a source told ESPN's Adam Schefter. The appeal will be heard and ruled upon by either Derek Brooks, Ramon Foster, or Jordy Nelson, the hearing officers jointly appointed by the NFL and the Players Association. If the suspension is upheld, he would miss his team's upcoming game against the Pats this week. The incident occurred in Cincinnati's 34-12 loss to the Steelers on Sunday. Video from Cincinnati's WXIX-TV showed Chase clearly spitting on Ramsey's in Ramsey's direction, which prompted Ramsey to throw the punch. So Jalen Ramsey retaliated, and of course that's the number one rule they teach. You don't retaliate because you're the one that's going to get called. But it's Cincinnati television that ratted out the Cincinnati receiver.
Nice. Well done.
So much for loyalty. You know what I mean?
Maybe that's, you know what? Bengals are a poorly run organization. So that was their gotcha to the Bengals, maybe? I don't know. You don't know what tea that's going on over there.
No, and that was a big kerfuffle that happened on Sunday between Cincinnati and Pittsburgh. And it looks like a suspension is going to come down. It looks like a suspension is coming down, and it's going to come down on the right person at least. Because, I mean, if Jalen Ramsey, like I said, that's the first thing they teach you in hockey is if you retaliate, you're the one that's getting called for it.
Right.
But, you know, sounds like justice is going to be served in this instance.
Number 3.
To a sadder story now, a 27-year-old man was charged yesterday with the murder and the death of a celebrated former football coach, John Beam, who died on Friday after being shot in a junior college campus in Oakland where he worked. Cedric Irving Jr. could face 50 years to life if convicted, Alameda County District Attorney Ursula Jones-Dixon said on Monday in a news conference. Irving also faces enhancement charges alleging he personally fired the gun that caused grave bodily injury. Beam was 66, a giant in the local community, a father figure who forged deep relationships with players while fielding a team that regularly competed for championships. The Netflix docuseries Last Chance U focused on Beam at the Laney Eagles and its 2020 season. So just sad news, but again, fortunately, justice being served.
And sad news here. He's a San Diego guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Born in San Diego, went to Kearney High School, played football at Kearney from in 75 and 76 at the varsity level, played football at San Diego Mesa College, 77 and 78. Spent some time down here, and I know a lot of local people and a lot of local high school coaches here had a really good relationship with John Beam, and he impacted a lot of lives. So a really sad story, and hopefully he gets the justice that he deserves.
Yeah, absolutely.
Number 4.
This one happened last week, but I wanted to wait for you to get back to do this one. New Jersey Devils star Jack Hughes had surgery on his finger on Saturday, the team announced. The expected recovery time is 8 weeks, although he will be reevaluated in 6. According to sources, Hughes injured his hand in a freak accident that involved getting cut by glass at a team dinner on Thursday. You know who was at the team dinner or was a part of the team dinner?
Who?
Frank Fleming.
What?
Better known as Frank the Tank.
He was at whose team dinner?
It was at a Devils Barstool joint dinner. And the Devils' young superstar gets cut by glass and needs to have surgery on his hand.
Wow. They'll never do that again.
Unreal. Way to go, Frank the Tank.
It's not Frank's fault.
No, it's not.
I
but
mean,
it's not. But it's funny.
You're acting like
it's
Frank
funny that
smashed
he
a
was
glass
there.
bottle and started a fight.
Would you be surprised
if he started?
Would
a
you
fight?
be surprised if that happened?
No, I would think he would knock one over on accident and a piece of glass would fly and hit the guy in the hand.
There you go.
Have you ever seen Frank the Tank make ribs? Phenomenal video. Lunchtime hour. When we come back, we'll go back to your phone calls.
Diego, it's time to fire it up. From the beaches to the ballparks, from the Gaslamp to North County, no one knows America's finest city like he does.
You can't just punt on a Manny Machado prime year.
He's a fourth-generation San Diegan, born and raised in the heart of this community. Passionate, opinionated, and always bringing you the real talk on your teams, your city, and everything in between.
Braden totally knows his stuff. He's ready for the next step. That guy is good.
Live and local, it's the Braden Surprenant Show.
But I think Braden's one of the up-and-coming young stars in the media game in San Diego.
Now, here's your host, Braden Surprenant.
New lunchtime hour on 97.3 The Fan. This hour of sports talk is brought to you by SD Collectibles. Get ready, sports and Pokemon collectors. SD Collectibles Card Show is back at Liberty Station with over 100 vendor tables November 22nd and 23rd. Find sports cards, Pokemon memorabilia, and more. Visit sdcollectibles.com for info. That's sdcollectibles.com. I do want to remind everybody that you need to listen at 1 o'clock for us to announce today's biggest fan for a chance to qualify for a night in our Odyssey suite at a future Padres game with all the fan staff. Register your name at 97thefan.com/biggest fan in order to potentially have your name called. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. In this hour, we're going to get to what is going on right now in Major League Baseball in terms of rumors, and then we'll also get to some NFL from over the weekend. High school football playoffs continue. There was a big night on Friday night last week, setting up for an open division playoff championship game that is going to be a week from today. Yeah, they're playing on a Tuesday. They'll be at 7 o'clock down at Southwestern College next Tuesday. A week from today, Cathedral Catholic and Carlsbad in the Open Division Championship game. Frank, I expect you to attend.
It's walking distance from my home, so yes, I will. Where can I get you mentioned the credentials? Could you send me where to get those?
Yes,
Please?
I'll tell you the
If
person
it's
to email
not too
for
late.
that. You probably can. They have in their CIF meeting on Thursday.
Fantastic.
So you can get that. So we will be down there on Tuesday next week, 7 o'clock. It should be a great game. Come out and support some local high school football. You guys aren't working next week anyway, right?
We are.
I mean, we are. If I knew that the CIF championship game was going to get moved to a Tuesday, I would have taken Wednesday off. But no, we're doing our show next Wednesday. Next Wednesday will be our last show for that Thanksgiving week. We'll have Thanksgiving Thursday off and Friday off.
And there is time. There's time.
No, nah. Morning show's doing the show. We're doing the show.
That's fair.
I stay in town. Are you traveling for the holidays? For Thanksgiving? No, I'm not traveling either. I don't mind doing the show. It's fun. We could do the whole high school football recap. Do tons of other football conversation. We could talk about Thanksgiving food for 2 hours.
I mean, yeah.
There's a lot of stuff we could do. I don't mind doing the show. Plus, it's like less to, do a lot of everything. Like having to make airport runs or do XYZ. Like it's not the worst.
That's why I never minded working on holidays, is because that
That's
meant I was unavailable for everything else.
I would like to cordially invite all of our listeners to the game next Tuesday.
There you
Southwestern College. It's a Tuesday night. What are you doing on a Tuesday night? On Thanksgiving week. Get you out of a lot. It's great high school football in town. It's at Southwestern College, 7 o'clock, Tuesday night. I will be there.
For those
coaching.
There is a fine Mexican restaurant across the street from Southwestern College as well. I believe it's purple. It's got a big bell on it. If you're hungry after the game, you should go there.
That's right. There you go.
Just look for the bell.
Tuesday night football. It's better than the Maction. It's better than Kusa.
Let's
Rod, be there, buddy. Try to get. I'd like to get. This is when they say like the Scrabanators do their deal for the Padre game. This is what you got to have. We should have. Should be the watch event for the Braden Surprenant show, the CIF championship game next Tuesday, 7 o'clock. Be there. We will. It'll be a fun game. Carlsbad's really good. Cathedral's really good. Got two teams with a lot of great players on it, a lot of D1 players. Should be a fun time. Looking forward to it. So we'll talk more about that in just a little bit as well. It's the semifinals this weekend, this Friday for everybody else, and then the finals start next week, starting with the Tuesday. Open Division Championship game. All right. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. Let's get out to Kevin in Chula Vista. Been waiting on hold for a while. Kevin, what's going on, man?
Appreciate that very much. We can have a pickleball game between the Scrabenators and the Bradenators. How about that? Let's just we'll just make up a name for ourselves, and we have formally challenge Scraby to get out there on the pickleball court, and we'll take
wow. Kevin's calling out Scraby on the pickleball court. I like it. Scrabenators versus the Braden Surprenant show.
The Bradenators.
The Bradenators.
Why not?
There you go. Hey, you know what? Not a bad idea there, Kevin.
Winner keeps the gimmick. Winner keeps the name.
Jocelyn says, what about bowling? I'm not good at bowling, so we're going to go to pickleball. I like Kevin's idea. All right, what do you got for us today, Kevin?
All right, let's go back to the subject at hand. You are profoundly spot on regarding Luis Ariz. And a couple other things that have not been mentioned. The versatility of Ryan Hearn is also important because he can also play an outfield spot. And that would free up another roster position because you've got technically a fourth outfielder if you need him. And then you throw Gavin Sheets over at first if you're going to do that. You get the home run capabilities. You've got a younger guy. I think he's younger, but you just get a lot more. And then here's the other elephant in the room that no one seems to talk about. Certainly there had to have been a negative effect on Fernando with having Luis Ariz hitting after him because there's no threat there. And so I think many times, and this is just my opinion, it'd be worth talking about the effect of having a slap hitter and not even a walk guy in coming after you, and you get pitched around or you don't get great pitches. And I think that may be one of the answers to why Fernando didn't get what we all thought was going to be in terms of the power numbers, because he wasn't going to get much good stuff to hit. So he takes the walk instead, which, bless his heart, he improved on that. And that's a great thing. But square peg, round hole, best way to describe it. I think we can do a lot better. We can't rinse and repeat with this same lineup. It didn't get us to the World Series, and that's the way I view it.
I view it like that too, Kevin. In fact, we actually had that conversation. How many times this summer, Frank?
Almost every day.
About like a lot of the reason why Fernando was not putting up the big numbers that he was putting up is there's no threat. There was no threat behind him. So I liked having like Jackson Merrill bat second or anybody else. I mean, you're not afraid of Luis Ariz coming up. You're just not. Pitchers aren't afraid of him. They're afraid of him with like bases loaded. And we had this conversation. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. All right. Let's get to what's going on in baseball right now with some of the rumors out there.
Really quick, though, back to college football for 1 second. I just saw this pop up. We did not discuss this on the show yesterday. I should have brought it up, but we didn't. On3 is reporting.
No, I saw this.
That Sam Levitt might not be returning to Arizona State.
He
might be going to the transfer.
His camp is, quote, shopping him.
Yes.
His camp is shopping him.
So the next time Sam goes on vacation, just remember, it might not be for skiing. It might not be for a wedding, like he says. He might be trying to figure out where he's going to enter the portal.
Oh, it's definitely not for the NFL. That is definitely a portal thing.
Yeah.
They are shopping him. His camp is shopping him. How is that good for college football at all? Like, I understand, like, in the grand scheme of things, like the NIL and all that stuff, I think sucks. I think there's some positive to it, but I think it's all ridiculous. I think it's ruining what has made college football so great. But at the same time, as somebody that's kind of like, I'll sit in the middle and I'll look at both sides. The idea that a kid can start at a Division III, play really well, and work his way up to a Division I, via the transfer portal and earning money when he didn't get looks out of high school. I think that's valuable. I think that's great. I think that's great for the kid. I think the same thing can be said about anybody that goes to like a group of 5 school, right? My only offer is San Jose State. And you turn that into being a quarterback in the SEC? Yeah, sure. Or being a player in the SEC and make money and, didn't get that opportunity out of high school? Sure, that's great. But now we're getting like Power 4 kids. And we're talking about a kid like Sam Levin, the quarterback for Arizona State, not our Sam, who worked his way to Arizona State, got Arizona State to the college football playoff, is in a place that has resources, has a good fan base, is in a power conference, and he has a group that his camp is shopping him to get a better contract where everybody is everybody's an unrestricted free agent every season. In what world does that make any sense from a competitive standpoint in college athletic, in any athletic? I mean, you make the comparison of pro sports. How dumb does that sound, Frank?
Very.
If you want to talk about these guys being pros now, it's like, well, it's only fair. They're getting what they should make. Is it fair that every year Fernando has a good year, he should be able to leave and see who could pay him more money? Is that fair? Like, no. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? I mean, I watched TCU play BYU over the weekend. TCU has raised over $100 million in NIL. Over $100 million in NIL. Then they split it amongst all their teams, but I would imagine that about 80% of it's going to the football team. 80% is probably going to the football team. These are not exact numbers, but from people I talk to, they're making a lot of money. And based on what I know, kids have gotten paid through the portal. The players that I saw on Saturday night were making a ton of money. They're making a lot more money than everybody in the stands. And what I saw out of it was just, and I got to see this team in person. And this is a team in person that, since being eliminated from any type of postseason that makes that has any type of value for a college kid, they flat out just didn't show up on Saturday. They looked like a team that was completely unmotivated and didn't want to be there, and they were like mercenaries. And that's what every college team is right now in the Power 4, is a bunch of mercenaries. I mean, you can say what you want about Texas Tech. I think Texas Tech's a really good football team. They spent $12 million on their D-line on their defense this year in the transfer portal. $12 million. And the thing that has made college athletics so great is you had this connection with the college player because he went to your school. And you were rooting for the kids because they went to your school. And it was your school. You're rooting for the logo. And now you have a brand new team every single year. I mean, it's a different team every year. It's great when you get to see programs keep kids, like San Diego State kept like 9 kids last year on defense. That's great. But you are going to see a situation where you're just going to get a brand new team every year. You want to know why San Diego hasn't been able to brace San Diego State? They don't even know anybody in the team. It's a different team every season, even with they're trying to sell the local kids. But they can't say they can't go on to go make more money. It's good for the player. I mean, Lucky Sutton could enter the portal at the end of the year and go get picked up by an SEC school and get paid a ton of money, and he's gone. You wouldn't be mad at the kid. Somebody's offering that kind of money, got to take it. Now, the system, though, is the problem. It's just the way that they haven't put any constraints on this thing, and you're going to see more situations like this, and you're going to see uninspiring football for everybody that's checked out and doesn't want to be there anymore and just collecting a check. You don't see a lot of guys playing for pride or playing for the school or it's just, all right, we're out. I'm just got to make it through the end of the year, get my tape so I can go into the portal. Let's try to go build a brand new team and see what we can put together. It's just so catastrophically messed up. It's ridiculous. And by the way, the funny thing is you think these admins are making money. You know who's making money? The school is pumping that money back in all most of the athletic departments don't even make money. There's like one school that makes money. There's probably like 5 to 6 schools that make any money. Texas, everybody thinks that athletic departments in college make as much money as Texas does. They don't. Most of the money is going to fund all the Title IX and all of the other sports that don't make any money. In the past, when the football players weren't getting paid, and here's the deal. This is where they went wrong with this. The whole idea of a kid making money on the side in high school by doing stupid YouTube videos and having to give that up because he played football or played another sport, that was ridiculous. The entire situation of if one of the players on your team got sick and the coach brought him soup, it would be an NCAA violation. Like, that is all ridiculous. That needed to be eliminated. They need to be eliminated. But then they went to let's pay them hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars a year and let them go wherever they want. It's great for the player. There's nothing wrong with that, but it doesn't make a competitive league. Doesn't make anything competitive. It makes it like, all right, well, how do I have any connection to this team aside from the fact that I went to the school and their logo is on the helmet? It doesn't make any sense. And again, when that was the case, when all the schools were making all this money, right? When the TV contracts were paying all this money out, where was that money going? It wasn't going to admin people. You think they're just pocketing that money? No, it was paying for all of the expenses it costs to run an athletic department. It was going to the track team and paying for everything it takes to put on a volleyball event. That's what it's for. Bowl games are about tourism for the cities. And back then, it was fun for the kids because there was no playoffs. That's why bowl games are slowly dying. None of the kids want to play in it. They're making so much money, they don't care. And so now you're left with a part of the whole trying to keep the bowl system alive is also incredibly difficult. Players getting a free education and being able to start life with no debt when everybody else was starting hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt was already a massive perk. And by the way, you didn't think they're getting paid? When I was at TCU, everybody would get per diem all the time, and they would get bowl stipends for being gone for a week. They would get tons of money, but they wouldn't use it for what they were supposed to use it for. They would blow it on stupid things, but they were getting paid. Getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars? Sure, go ahead and pay them. But the whole situation of college athletics is it's so ridiculous. These schools have to pay for all of these different programs right now. Are they overpaying for coaches? Yeah, they're overpaying for coaches. But they were trying to do whatever it takes to get more money, to get people to go to their games, to try to fund all the stuff that they had to do. And you think those players weren't getting paid? I mean, you look at right now, the SEC all of a sudden is dropped back down to the pack. Why is that? Oh, not because everybody can pay. Don't tell me they weren't getting paid. They've always been getting paid. It just was mostly under the table. But the football teams pay for everybody to send their kids to school to be on a college scholarship. That's what they pay for. Do you think the field hockey team in colleges have enough money to generate to travel to the games that they play? No, it destroys athletic departments' budgets. The field hockey and volleyball and softball, track and field, wrestling. I mean, these are just sports that are funded by football. That's why those are the entities that were making money. You want to make a union? Go ahead. It's not going to work out very much for the college kids. It's not. It's not going to work out for the college kids. You think it will? It won't. Everybody was making some type of money. But the way that it's played out in college athletics right now is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And it's going to get worse. Everybody's trying to get even more money to try to be competitive because they got to pay for better athletes because they want to compete at a high level. Signing on with private equity. I'm sure that will go over well. It'll be great. It'll be great for college athletics. All right, what's going on? We've teased it long enough. When we come back, we'll let you know the latest rumors of Major League Baseball. There's a big hitter on the market that might be going to Pittsburgh. The Pirates in play? We'll talk about it when we come back. This holiday season, too many San Diegans will go hungry. Join 97 through the Fan and support the San Diego Food Bank. Donate food directly online through our Odyssey San Diego Food Fund, where every donation helps feed local families. Go to 97throughthefansd.com/food fund and give today. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local each and every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Everything about the college thing's crazy. It's professional sports at this point anyway. And like I said, here's what's going to happen. And I would do this too. If I was an athletic department, I would start cutting everything that doesn't make money. And then whatever I needed to keep on the women's side to make whatever three men's sports that make money is what I would do. And that might be the case for a lot of these schools that might not be able to compete in the future. I mean, these things are happening. They're going to happen quickly. But the product you're getting is not that great. And you want to talk about the 2014 playoff that got proposed? I'm all in favor of that. People are like, who wants this? I mean, we start on the SEC and their biased takes about things. Save that for another day. All right. Big slugger going to Pittsburgh, Frank, huh? What's going on the rumor mills for Major League Baseball? This one sounds interesting.
It does sound interesting. It does sound fun. It's nice we get to use that bed every now and again. Pittsburgh, interested in Kyle Schwarber.
Aren't we all interested in Kyle Schwarber?
The Pittsburgh Pirates, traditionally not major free agent spenders, appear to be more aggressive this offseason. ESPN's Jeff Passan reports they were willing to make a significant offer for Josh Naylor before he signed with Seattle. Despite missing out, the Pirates are targeting bigger bats and are showing interest in star slugger Kyle Schwarber. Additionally, they continue to explore options at first base, in the bullpen, and boosting their Paul Skeens anchored starting rotation. That's not a joke either, because the report was they offered Naylor $80 million.
Well, I don't think they really wanted to sign him. I feel like the Pirates are doing I think they want to be in the news so people talk about them, so their fans look like they're trying. Until they start signing certain players, that's what I'm going to believe. As Go Aztecs said in the YouTube chat, clickbait. They'll never pay a free agent.
I also believe that this could be them wanting to get closer and more compliant because they feel as though a salary floor is coming. That could be it as well. You want to be close to it. This is how you do it. You spend money. And they have a lot to spend if they want to be compliant with the salary floor.
I hope they do it. I just don't see them doing it. I think it's just smoke and mirrors.
I mean,
I think they're being Wind Sox. I hope
that reputation.
I hope the Pirates do it because that would be good for baseball. I think it would be 100%. Good for baseball if some of these bad teams start spending money and the free agents start going to some of the bad teams, and all of a sudden we have parity. You want a competitive league? You want an entertaining league that people want to watch? You make it have parity. And the way to have parity is good players are on all teams. It's funny that the leagues that are doing it and having success and the leagues that aren't doing it and not having success.
Absolutely.
And the team and the league, like college football, that starts to trending towards baseball, and they're about to kill the golden goose.
Yep. Speaking of the aforementioned first baseman, the Mariners re-signed first baseman Josh Naylor to a 5-year, $92 million contract with a full no-trade clause, their biggest free agent deal for a position player under Jerry Dipoto. Both Naylor and the team wanted a reunion after their strong 3-month stint in Seattle, and the deal came together quickly during and after the GM meetings. Naylor is the first MLB free agent to sign this offseason, and his return keeps a major part of Seattle's ALCS caliber roster intact for 2026.
That's great. Great for the Mariners. I like the pickup. I like that. You know what? Not on a National League team. I know it's going to be tougher for the Vetter Cup, but I like the move for Seattle. It's probably great for Josh Naylor, too.
Yeah, no, it's a good deal for him. The Philadelphia Phillies are interested in re-signing outfielder Harrison Bader, who declined his $10 million option to test free agency after a strong stint with the Phillies. President Dave Dombrowski said the team has already communicated its desire to bring him back, though Bader's camp wants to gauge the market. The Phillies' top priorities remain re-signing Kyle Schwarber and JT Realmuto and possibly Ranger Suarez, but the outfield help is still needed with Nick Castellanos unlikely to return for 2026. If Bader does not re-sign, the team does have the team's outfield depth is thin with only Marsh, Rojas, Wilson, and prospect Justin Crawford as internal options.
Well, I think it's the same conversation we're having with Luis Arraez, right? It's the priority order. What's more of a priority, for you? I just don't see him signing all those guys back. I think a lot of them will get a little bit more money to go elsewhere. Maybe not JT Realmuto, but I know your top priorities are Kyle Schwarber and Ranger Suarez. But I just is Harrison Bader going to be the guy for you in Philly? Like what is Harrison Bader? I mean, he's been a journeyman.
Yeah.
I know he played well for Philadelphia. It's almost better if the Phillies just let him go. He turned down $10 million. How much money would you give Harrison Bader to be an outfielder?
Not $10 million.
Not $10 million. No, I wouldn't.
The Marlins are drawing strong trade interest once again with pitchers Sandy Alcantara and Edward Cabrera. MLB Insider believes John Morosi believes Miami is likely to trade one of them within the next month. Alcantara rebounded late in his first season back from Tommy John surgery and is signed to a team-friendly deal through at least 2026. Cabrera finally showed improvement in command in 2025 and posted one of his best seasons before an elbow sprain sidelined him. With both pitchers under control for multiple years, their trade value is high.
The question I think is where do the Marlins think they're at in terms of competing? I thought they finished the season strong.
Yeah.
So if you're the Marlins, like your conversation is, do you think you can compete in the next couple of years or do you not? Like, do you think you can compete during the window that Sandy is under contract? And if you think that's the case, why would you trade him? There's no reason to. Why punt? Why kick the can down the road again? But you only got 1 year. We really only have 1 year left with him. And then you got the club option at 21. Are the Marlins going to pick up the club option?
And I think it depends again where they are.
Salary cap.
Mm-hmm.
And Edward Cabrera. Like I would, if I was them, why would you trade away Edward Cabrera?
Yeah.
He's under contract until 2029. You could be competitive this year. They could be competitive this year without Sandy. I think they trade Sandy Alcantara, and I think they keep Cabrera.
Alcantara.
The
Red Sox would like to keep Alex Bregman. Who would have thought? Who provided strong production and leadership in 2025, but is unclear if Boston will give the 32-year-old a long-term contract that he wants. If Bregman leaves in free agency, MLB insider John Morosi reports that the Red Sox are expected to make an all-out pursuit for what they are calling Boston's top threat to pull this player away from his current team, Pete Alonso. Pete Alonso could be on his way to Boston.
Yeah, kid about the National League. Don't mind me. Red Sox likely to keep Bregman, but want to bring in Pete Alonso.
They want to keep Bregman, but are the number one threat to the Mets if Bregman doesn't come back for Alonso.
If Bregman's going to want more than $40 million a year, which maybe he won't, maybe he just wants more years. I'd rather have Pete Alonso than pay Alex Bregman $40 million a year.
I unfortunately agree with you. Final one for today. Teams have been calling the Diamondbacks about Ketel Marte, and while GM Mike Hazen downplayed the likelihood of a trade, new reports suggest Arizona is more open than ever to moving him. The Athletics' Ken Rosenthal put the chances at 50-50, noting the D-backs could use a Marte deal to fill multiple roster needs and create payroll flexibility. Marte, 32, will gain 10 and 5 no trade rights in April, and with his team-friendly extension, 7 years, $116.5 million, and elite production over the last 2 seasons, his value is high.
His value is high. He's under contract until 2031.
Yes.
where he has a player option for 11.5. He makes $20 million in 2028, 22 in 2029, and 22 in 2030. But he only counts towards 14.6 against the luxury tax.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to have Ketel Marte. Like, I'm thinking about this from a Padres perspective. I'd love to have Ketel Marte. But there's rumblings about him in the clubhouse last year, potentially not being a big team player.
Yeah, he just left the team with no notice.
Right. Like, and maybe that's a Diamondbacks problem. Maybe with the new lease on life, he won't be like that. But that's a red flag to me. The other red flag is the fact that the guy has a hamstring injury like every year. When's the last time he made it to the end of a season? He's 30. He's going to be 32 next June.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to get him for 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. And if he's really good, you can pay him for 37. If I'm the Diamondbacks, I'm trading Ketel Marte. I'd like to have Ketel Marte, but it doesn't make sense. Again, it's the whole square peg, round hole. You'd have to trade Drake Cronenworth if that was the case. He's got to cost you more money. He's up there in age. Like, you're just adding another aging vet on a big contract to your team. So I think it'd be valuable to a lot of teams. I don't see a fit here in San Diego. If it's a related back.
Agree.
Some good stuff there, Frank.
Thank you. We'll do it again tomorrow.
That's right. We'll do it again tomorrow. When we come back, we'll quickly get through a whip around and hopefully get a contestant for the Midday Sports Standoff. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. Braden Surprenant Show continues on San Diego Sports Station 97 through the Fan. This hour on 97 to the Fans brought to you by Toyota of Poway. Voted San Diego's #1 Toyota dealer by USA Today. It's the season to save it. Toyota of Poway voted San Diego's #1 Toyota dealer by USA Today. The Black Friday sales event is on with brand new Toyotas in stock and ready to roll. Heard at Toyota of Poway or ToyotaPoway.com and drive home happy this holiday. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local each and every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. It's time now to get to our NFL Whip Around.
I will say this, going into the NFL week, this week was a lot better than last week because holy cow, last week was bad. This week, actually pretty good.
Some pretty good games across the world, I should say,
Absolutely.
since one of them was in Madrid.
This one, as a matter of fact, is the now 3-8 Washington Commanders fall to the Miami Dolphins, who are now 4-7, 16-13 in overtime at the Bernabeu.
Dolphins, a little bit of a winning streak. We called this game, though. I mean, Washington's got, without having Daniels, I mean, they're so far behind. And no Terry McLaurin. They're beat up. I mean, injuries are just destroying this team's season. They had a good year last year, which means they have to play a little bit tougher of a schedule. They're bad.
Yes, they
and the
are.
Dolphins, even though they're bad, are slightly less bad than the Washington Commanders. Good win for the Dolphins. Good win for Chris Ello. 16-13 victory for the Dolphins over the Commanders.
The Carolina Panthers are now 6-5 after beating the Atlanta Falcons 30-27, also in overtime. Saw an interesting stat today. If the Panthers win the coin flip, they're 6-0. If they lose it, they're 0-5.
Why even play the game?
Exactly.
Just flip a coin.
What's the point?
Why do we save everybody's time?
What's the point of playing the game?
How about McMillan? A big night again for the Carolina Panthers. Multiple touchdowns for McMillan. As he had 130 receiving yards, 8 receptions, 2 touchdowns. I mean, people thought he had a problem during the draft. I remember talking to Eddie Brown right before the draft. It was like, oh, he's got some like off field. He's like, he complains about not getting the ball. That's why he fell in the draft. Guy's the #1 receiver in the draft. Draft experts, man. It's a good win for Carolina. Carolina's starting to improve. I don't know what's going on with the Falcons. The Falcons show signs of life sometimes, and then they just do that.
Mm-hmm.
They go toe-to-toe with some of the best teams in the country and in the NFL, and then it's like, we're going to lay another egg.
Well, you know. Is what it is.
It's time to move on for their head coach. I mean, it's time to really cut bait with a lot of people in the Falcons organization.
Buccaneers fall to 6-4 as the Bills go 7-3. Bills win at home 44-32.
Josh Allen every year is an MVP candidate. Why is Josh Allen an MVP candidate? Well, I don't know. 6 touchdowns.
Well, you know.
6 touchdowns.
Things like that just happen.
Guy can run the ball. Guy scores the ball. Scores a lot of touchdowns. Throws some boneheaded picks. But you know what? Buffalo back on track. It's a good win for them over the Buccaneers. I thought the Buccaneers would give them a little bit more run, but the Bills look good on Sunday. And it's another victory for the Bills. Now 7-3.
Another team on a resurgence, the Houston Texans. They were bad at the beginning of this year, and they're doing it now without C.J. Stroud. Close win against the Tennessee Titans, 16-13. Titans, the only one-win team left in the NFL at 1-9.
I said don't touch that game with a 10-foot pole and survival.
Exactly right.
And you know what? That's why. I thought the Titans were going to win that game. I thought they had a chance to win that game. Out of all of the conversation of like who the Titans could finally beat besides the Cardinals earlier on the season, Texans had the perfect storm. Division opponent, backup quarterback, playing on the road. That had everything lined up for the Titans to help some people out in the survivor picks. They lost by 3. Titans are really bad. I mean, the Texans are back to 500, but I think they are taking advantage of the schedule they have with the time that C.J. Stroud is out. They run into a team that's good. They're going to be in a little bit of a jam. But you know what? Titans almost did it.
You know who else almost did it?
Texans have the Bills next week, by the way.
Well,
all right,
it's that. You know who else almost did it last week? The New York Giants. Once again, almost did it. Losing to the now 6-3-1 Green Bay Packers 27-20 at home in what was a weekend of god-awful looks.
Jameis Winston, though.
Good for him.
Love Jameis Winston.
I
love watching Jameis Winston.
It's
so fun to watch.
The last 2 days of New York Giants football has seen a loss. Abdul Carter sleeping through a walkthrough, which we went through yesterday, and Cam Scatterbo on Monday Night Raw last night, 3 weeks after having his ankle, which was facing both backwards and upside down at the same time, mind you, surgically repaired, getting into a schmaz on Monday Night Raw.
Good
What
for him.
a week
Maybe he'll
of
be
looks for
maybe
the
he'll be
Giants.
back sooner. If they make the playoffs, he'll be ready to go. But they're not going to make the playoffs, so why rush it? Jameis Winston, 19 for 29, 201 yards, and a pick. Tracy, not a bad night. 19 carries, 88 yards. Singletary had 2 touchdowns. I mean, Singletary hadn't had touchdowns all year. You guys gets 2 touchdowns for the Giants. Ridiculous.
No.
Packers, like I said, I won the Survivor pick with that. You want to pick. You want to find teams to pick for Survivor. Pick teams that are going against the Giants because they shut down Jackson Dart, right?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, I believe Dart's down.
Good. There's no reason for the Giants aren't going to beat anybody else the rest of the season. Maybe. I mean, go to the Giants' schedule. What are they going to beat?
No one.
Are they beating the Lions this week?
No.
In Detroit? No, they ain't beating the. They might beat the Patriots. They've had the Patriots number. It's in New England though, and Tom Brady's not there anymore, and you don't have Eli Manning, so that might not be the case. They could beat the Commanders.
Could and will are two different things.
Vikings. I got 3 L's so far: Lions, Pats, and Commanders.
Speaking
Vikings.
of
We're almost done. Vikings, yes or no? Is that a win?
No.
It's at home.
No.
At the Raiders.
No.
They could beat the Raiders.
Could.
The Raiders are so bad. Finish the season with the Cowboys. They never beat the Cowboys.
No.
They'll never beat the Cowboys.
Speaking of Minnesota.
All right, so they win 3 games this year. They beat the Raiders. I'll give you some credit for that.
Speaking of Minnesota, let's go up north.
The great
Santos puts it up, and it is good!
A walk-off field goal, Kevin Burkhardt on the call, NFL on Fox. A 19-17 win for a team that is known as
The Bears. The Bears.
They got to be the worst 7-3 team I've ever seen.
But they're
7-3, and you know what? It's the NFL. You don't need style points. They're winning football games.
It's the Pirates of the Caribbean meme.
Yes.
You are the worst pirate I've ever heard of.
You're without doubt the worst 7-3 team I've ever heard of. But you have heard of me. But you have heard of me. That is the Chicago Bears. Caleb Williams was 16 for 32, 193 yards. No touchdowns, no picks. They run the football. They play decent defense. The Vikings are not good. How about all the Vikings fans ready to get rid of J.J. McCarthy? 16 for 32, 150 yards, a touchdown, and 2 picks. How do you throw under 200 yards in an NFL game in this day and age, by the way?
I have no idea at this point. We talked about this game earlier. The Cincinnati Bengals losing to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers now 6-4, 34-12. Steelers win.
Andrew Siciliano doesn't have to get his nipples pierced. Good for him.
Good on you.
Bengals are trash.
Yes, they are.
And now they don't have Jamar Chase. So
Speaking of
fun with that.
Speaking of trash, the Jacksonville Jaguars are trash. However, the LA Chargers have a knack.
They're 6-4. They're not.
The LA Chargers have a knack of losing to trash, and boy, did they ever!
And losing
35-6 on the road in Jacksonville.
Did you see Justin Herbert's final line?
No, I did not.
I mean, everybody said, all the Charger fans said it was going to be different. We have Herbert and we have Harbaugh, and it's different. It's the same old Chargers, man. You're 7-4. Justin Herbert, 10 for 18, 81 yards and a pick. Look, I like Justin Herbert. I'm a Justin Herbert fan, but I'm going to tell you right now, if you throw for under 100 yards in the NFL, that is bad. How do you do that? In this day and age of the National Football League, how do you throw under 100 yards?
Skill.
How do you do it?
Skill.
I know you don't have an offensive line. Quick game, something. How do you throw for under 100 yards in the National Football League? It's baffling to me. Chargers got smoked by Jacksonville. They never play well in the state of Florida. They got their ass handed to them. And again, people are like, well, it's our year. No, it's not. It's never your year, man.
We highlighted a big game in the NFC West. Came down to a close one. How did that go?
From 61, does he have enough? It is wide right, and the Rams hang on.
Jason Myers missing the game-winning field goal. Joe Davis on the call. Fox NFL on Fox. Rams hold on by that missed field goal, 21-19 over the Seahawks.
Best team in the NFC. What do we say? If they're going to be the best team in the NFC, they got to be the best team in the NFC West. That win, I think, puts them in the spot. They're going to win the division. And I'm telling you, they're better than the Eagles. That team is the Rams, the team to beat in the NFC.
Yes.
They look the best. I know their schedule hasn't been very good, but they look the best. Let's skip the Niners Cardinals.
Yeah, that was just a
Mark
thing that
Andrews
happened.
was fun though. Play that.
That was. How about this?
That is Andrews under center on 4th and 1. Andrews spinning away, and there he goes. Andrews all the way. Touchdown.
Andrew Catalone on NFL on CBS. Ravens beating the Browns 23-16. That play happened with less than 3 minutes to go in the game to give Baltimore the lead.
I saw that play live at the No Name Saloon in Park City. Just sat down inside the Cozy Saloon, and I saw that rip off, and I'm like, was that I thought it was a passing touch. I looked at the replay, like, it was a rushing touchdown. How about it? That's a great play. Good wrinkle. I'm surprised the Eagles haven't done that too many times. They're just so good at the tush push. That's a good play, though.
We'll rip through these last ones. Chiefs fall to 5-5 as the Broncos win 22-19. Eagles win on Sunday Night Football 16-9 over the Lions. Cowboys beat the Raiders last night in a game that nobody watched 33-16.
Did it even happen then? Dan Campbell rolling the dice on every single fourth down, man. He's still rolling the dice. Guy still wants to play. Hit. I would hate to play blackjack with him. Hit. You have 20, sir. Hit. Dan Campbell. When we come back, we'll talk a little Aztecs women's basketball. 1 o'clock hour. 1 o'clock on a Tuesday. Can't believe it's already 1 o'clock. Can't believe it's already Tuesday. Well, when you travel back on a Monday, throws off your week. These next 2 weeks are going to be all jumbled together. We're here the entire week, the rest of the week.
Yes, we
Tuesday through Friday. And then what's going to jack me up even more, next week's going to be, so I had Monday off this week to fly back. And then this week's, so obviously a short week. Next week is weird because Tuesday is a high school football game that I'm coaching in. Who plays on a Tuesday? Well, everybody used to. I swear my junior year, maybe it was play Friday, play Tuesday. I remember playing like 3 days later for the championship game. That was like to make it happen at Qualcomm. So it's not like it's never been done before. I don't mind this because it gives you like 10 days off, and then whoever wins, whether it be Carlsbad or Cathedral, they don't have to have a full week off waiting for the southern section to play. It's like another 10 days. It's broken up perfectly for the playoffs. So I don't mind it. I really don't mind it. So, but next Tuesday, I'll have a high school football game to coach in. And then Wednesday is our last day next week for the Thanksgiving break. We'll have Thanksgiving off and Black Friday off. And then it gets to a point where then you're like thinking about, then the holidays are all over the place with a bunch of different weeks, and everything starts blending together. So we're at that part of the time frame of the year. So we are getting ready to have Stacie Terry-Hutson on. She is the head basketball coach for San Diego State women's basketball. And it sounds like she's ready to go, but entering her 13th season on the Mesa, Aztecs women's basketball, coming off some of the most successful 3-year stretches in program history. She has done a great job, and she joins me on the Braden Surprenant show. Stacie, how's it going? Well, how's your Tuesday going?
It's going great. It's going great. Thanks for asking.
Thanks for coming on. We really appreciate it. You guys off to a nice little start here to start the season. I know you get to interact with our afternoon show a lot, and Chris Ello doing all your games, but it's great to finally talk to you and have you on the show. Entering your 13th year on the Mesa, San Diego native, coming off one of the most successful 3-year stretches in program history. When you look at where this program is today compared to when you took over, what makes you most proud of the growth you've built there?
You know, just how far we've come. You kind of touched on it. You know, we've done a good job of getting the right people sitting on the right seats of the bus and you know, creating an environment that we compete every day and we're going to play the right way. And that's what I'm most proud of. Just excited about where we are right now and the kids we have in our program. Amazing basketball players, but even better human beings.
Won a Mountain West championship last year, and that team lost a ton of production to graduation, and even your starting port guard, into the portal. That's what everybody really has to deal with now in college athletics. Yet here you are with 7 newcomers, 5 transfers. You're off to a fast start. How impressed have you been with how quickly this group has gelled together?
You know, so far so good. We've done a good job of making sure that we've put the emphasis on playing the right way. We're very, very talented. We got some great kids in the portal and some great freshmen that are coming in, but like you said, we're very inexperienced. So still a question mark because we're only a couple games in, but we've had some adversity and been able to bounce. This stretch that we're going into, these next 3 games are going to be challenging. So I'm excited to see who we are and how well we can figure out, or how good we can figure out the next steps and how we can play together.
We're talking with Stacie Terry-Hutson. She is the head basketball coach at San Diego State University for the women's basketball program here on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. This team plays a completely different style. More pace, more threes, more scoring. Top 10 nationally in threes made, averaging nearly 80 points a game. What went into this kind of stylistic shift, and how have the newcomers helped you play this brand of basketball?
Well, I'm that kind of coach that we're going to play what style matches our kids, and we had a lot of great post players, and we went through the post last year. And as you mentioned earlier, we've lost a lot of that to graduation. So new team, new style. So we can shoot the three. All 5 kids on the court are shooters, and we want to play fast and play with great space and see if we can create some mismatches so we can get down to the paint and share the ball. I mean, I think a lot of our success last year came from the we over me and making sure we took great shots for the team. And, you know, so far our girls have really done a great job of playing unselfishly. And you talked about the threes and the points, but I'm most impressed with the number of assists. You know, 18 to 20 is our goal every game. And the more we share, the better we are.
Well, we talk about, you know, sharing the love and spreading it around. I mean, Nala Williams had a historic 25-10-3 game. Naomi Panagamaban had some efficient nights. Kennedy Lee hitting 7 threes the other night. What's allowed so many different players to take turns being, you know, the one each and every night?
You know, that's what we kind of talked about. That's the style of play that we've kind of cultivated and created here, and just make sure that we're going to turn down a good shot for a great shot. So, and with that, just like you said, our leading scorer may change every night. I mean, we have a lot of kids that can shoot the ball and can score in various ways. And, you know, so I think you're going to see that leading scorer change every night. And I love that. It's hard to guard when you got 5 kids that are scoring threats at every position. And the other thing that we didn't talk about so far was our depth. So we have a great bench. We have kids coming off the bench that are helping us. We're just young. And if we can figure out how to keep gelling and keep playing together, this future is really bright for this team. I'm excited for them.
Always an exciting time, at least when I've worked in college athletics, and a lot of schools have done this, and you guys are doing this tomorrow for your field trip game against Santa Clara. You're going to have 25 to 30 elementary schools in the building. It's always loud. It's chaotic. A lot of kids being able to watch women's college basketball. As someone who grew up in San Diego, what does that day mean to you and your guys' program to bring a bunch of kids in to watch you guys go out there and compete?
What a great question. Thank you for asking that, because this is a big deal for me. You know, I want these young women and men, everybody that's coming, growing up, wanting to be Aztecs. So if we've exposed them to higher education at San Diego State early on in their education, I just want them to grow up saying, you know, I had a great experience and I want to be an Aztec. And whether they play sports or not, that's neither here nor there. It's just about having pride in the university. And, you know, being a San Diegan, that means a lot to me.
Let's talk about that. That was kind of a follow-up question I had later on, but, you know, you got a couple of your starters that are from San Diego, one from Chula Vista, one from Del Norte, Forest Ranch, local kids, you know, starring for the hometown program. We know the football team is making a bunch of, you know, strides and trying to promote that as well. And you guys are doing a great job as a university in promoting all the local kids that come from a really good, hot, you know, talent bed of athletes here in San Diego. I mean, I coach high school football. I see it firsthand about all the great athletes we have here at the high school level. But how meaningful is it to you, a San Diego native, to know you got San Diego players in your backyard, but that they want to be San Diego State Aztecs and want to play for you, but not only in women's basketball, but across the programs here at San Diego State?
You know, one of the things I love about San Diego is that I'm walking around and I see a lot of red and black and a lot of SDSU. Our logo is all over the city, and that obviously is really, really important and makes me so proud to be a San Diegan. But when we're talking about having kids that are born and raised here and have a different level of pride with those letters across their chest, just means something just a little different. And to have 2 players right now, and obviously me, growing up in East County and being a San Diegan as well, I just think there's a different level of pride. You want to put on for your city, you want to be great for your city, and you want to bring home to your city. And I was really grateful that both of the young ladies that you mentioned were able to do that last year. And now we've set the bar really, really high. So we just want to keep growing and continue to recruit San Diego kids and keep our talent home. That's the number one goal. And we've done a good job right now so far, so we want to keep that thing going.
We're talking with Stacie Terry-Hutson. She is the head basketball coach for the women's basketball program at San Diego State University. Last question for you, Stacie. I mean, talking from a standpoint of, you know, the rest of the non-conference schedule. You play Santa Clara tomorrow, as mentioned in the field trip game. And then you're going to head to the Bahamas for the battle for Atlantis, Penn State, and potentially 2 more Power 4 opponents. You've already played UCLA and have Kansas State coming up. What do you want to learn about your team through this gauntlet of the non-conference?
Really hard schedule for us this year, and we did it on purpose. You know, we want to win a championship. We're in the Mountain West for one more year. Our goal is to win this last championship, and we wanted to be prepared for conference play. And I think this schedule is going to prepare us. UCLA being the number 2 or 3, depending on who you ask, team in the country. I thought we competed at a high level. Penn State's going to create some problems for us, and how do we respond, some adversity. Playing them on a neutral floor is always better than having to go to Penn State, but still, I think they're going to be a really good team. And then K-State on their home floor. So I just think preparing them for the gauntlet of the Mountain West travel and how hard it is to play in the Mountain West, I think is just going to help us in the long run. Going to be a good one tomorrow. Santa Clara is is a very good team outside of UCLA, the best competition that we've played thus far. So excited for them to have another opportunity to grow. Win or lose, it's all about getting better for conference play. We just want to make sure we're playing our best basketball come March.
Well, you are a local San Diegan, just like myself. And when we have all athletes and coaches on who are from San Diego, even though they're not in San Diego anymore, we have to ask you this question, Stacie. When you come back to San Diego on any type of trip, or you're out of San Diego for a long time and you come back, what is the first thing you have to eat when you come to San Diego?
Oh, a carne asada burrito, no doubt. I'm going Mexican food all the way. It's my favorite. So even when I'd come home to visit my family, it was always some type of hole in the wall Mexican food shop, so I can get a carne asada burrito.
That is the correct answer, Stacie, because that's what everybody else has said. We have had international soccer players. We've had MLB players. We've had coaches at the college level all throughout. They all say that. Some say In-N-Out, but most of them say Mexican food, and that's exactly what I would say. Stacie, it was great talking to you. Thanks again for the time. Good luck tomorrow against Santa Clara. Look forward to talking to you again.
Awesome. Thank you for the time. Go Aztecs.
Stacie Terry-Hutson joining us on the Braden Surprenant Show. She is the head basketball coach for the women's basketball program at San Diego State. They're off to a good start again tomorrow. A little bit earlier of a start time for their basketball game against Santa Clara. It's the field trip game. They do a lot of those throughout college basketball. You bring in a bunch of elementary school kids. They take a tour of the school, and then they get to go watch college basketball. So they're playing in front of a packed crowd. I'm sure they'll freak out over any 6-7 opportunity. That happened in the Oklahoma State game not too long ago. So we'll see what it's like. But there's going to be a lot of screaming kids at that game, high energy as they take on Santa Clara. And again, as Stacie said, a very difficult Aztec schedule. But Chris Ello does the broadcasting for all the Aztec women's basketball games. I'm sure you'll have more on that. I know they do a lot. The afternoon show does with the women's basketball team. So great to be able to talk with Stacie. Now, men's team's in action tonight against Troy Magoon-Gwath. Should be playing. Maybe he's playing. We'll talk about a little bit about that later on in the show. We also got to get you some high school football update, and we got to get you our overreactions for Week 11 in the NFL. That's all coming up next on the Braden Surprenant Show.
Hold on.
We also need to get to today's biggest fan.
That's it.
Today's biggest fan. Is this today's biggest fan?
It is today's.
This looks like a name that we've had before. It's not a name we've had before.
Now you're making me check it.
Well, you know what? Apparently there was a repeat earlier, and
No,
so now I
know
don't
there
trust it.
was. Now I got to double look. See,
Double check. Throw the drum roll on there again. Congratulations, today's biggest fan, Glenn Reyes in Lakeside. Give us a call within the next 10 minutes at 833-288-0973, and you will qualify for our grand prize. 20 tickets for you and your friends for a night in our Odyssey Suite at a Padres game with all of the fan staff later this season, catered by Spiro's Mediterranean Cuisine. Remember to register your name at 973thefansd.com/biggest fan. Glenn Reyes in Lakeside. Give us a call within the next 10 minutes, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. If Glenn Reyes calls, he will qualify for our grand prize. 20 tickets for you and your friends for a night in our Odyssey Suite at a Padres game with all of the fan staff later this season, catered by Spiro's Mediterranean Cuisine. Remember to register your name at 973thefansd.com/biggest fan. We are going to get to the big NFL Week 11 overreactions when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. We do have some qualifying offer news for Major League Baseball before we get to some of these overreactions. And again, as baseball things happen, we will shift gears and talk a little baseball when we can. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local each and every day on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan, 10 to 2 every day. We didn't play the midday sports stand-up. We got to do that more. Sammy Hagar returns to Las Vegas with his Best of All Worlds Las Vegas residency. Get ready to rock with your favorite hits from the Van Halen years, Sammy solo hits, and more. Only in Las Vegas in this March 11th to the 21st and September 18th to the 26th at Dolby Live at Park MGM. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. If you take me down to sports trivia, you will qualify for a chance to win that. We mentioned that all guests on 97 through the Fan join us on the David P. Shapiro Fan Hotline. David P. Shapiro, criminal defense attorneys, helping good people regain control of their future when charged with a crime since 2010. Visit davidpshapirolaw.com. Okay. I think it was like 11, 14, maybe 15.
I'm pretty sure it was
all time.
14.
It's something around there. It's like it's a teen number when it comes to the amount of players that have accepted a qualifying offer since they started this process, which I think was like 2010 or something like that?
Something around there, yeah.
I can't remember. We mentioned it so many times the last couple of weeks.
I think, actually.
So not a lot of people accept the qualifying offer. So when Kevin Acee put out that Dylan Cease and Michael King have rejected the qualifying offers, it's to be expected. We didn't think they were going to accept them.
Mild shock.
Yeah, pretends to be shocked. Oh, wow, they didn't accept the qualifying offer. Breaking news.
No way.
No way. Oh, my God. They didn't accept the qualifying offer. Now, it was surprising, not really all of them, but 4 players, a record 4 players have accepted the $22 million qualifying offer. So they come back to the team on a 1-year, $22 million deal. 4 players accepted it throughout Major League Baseball. Brandon Woodruff, coming off some injuries, Milwaukee Brewers. Not overly surprising. If I had to pick 1 or 2 players, he'd be on my list. He wouldn't be number 1 on my list, but he'd definitely be on my list. Now, according to Jeff Passan, he thinks that, I'm blanking on his name, but with Brandon Woodruff.
Did you say Frankie Montas? Was that who you mentioned?
Yeah, who's the Freddie Peralta, right?
Yeah, Freddie Peralta. Yes.
Frankie Montas got cut.
Yeah,
Frankie
Montas got DFA'd.
Frankie Montas got DFA'd by the Mets, but Freddie Peralta is a potential trade candidate if Brandon Woodruff accepts the qualifying offer. That's what he said in his article today. Freddie Peralta of Milwaukee. If Brandon Woodruff accepts a qualifying offer, it would drastically increase the chances of a Peralta trade. If Woodruff hits free agency, Peralta almost certainly will stay. Well, Woodruff accepted the qualifying offer, so maybe Freddie Peralta is available via trade. That's some news out of the Brandon Woodruff pickup. Now, the other one, which a lot of people in the YouTube chat have discovered, and this is the one that I thought for sure was going to accept the qualifying offer. Trent Grisham.
Trent Grisham offered him.
Trent Grisham was not going to get $22 million on the open market. Trent Grisham, is he worth $22 million for New York? Maybe. I mean, they needed it solidifies the outfield. Guy had a great year in New York. $22 million for that production? I guess. It's the Yankees. I'm surprised they gave him a qualifying offer. And when we went through this, Frank just said it, but when we went through this, Frank was convinced there's no way the Yankees would even give him a qualifying offer. I wouldn't give him a qualifying offer. Why? Because he would accept it. That was the problem. Like, you don't give qualifying offers to the players you think are going to accept more times than not. So you get a draft pick when they sign. Trent Grisham is the guy that would accept a qualifying offer. That's why you wouldn't give a qualifying offer to Luis Ariz. He would totally accept it. He'd be foolish not to. So Trent Grisham gets a 1-year, $22 million deal with the New York Yankees. Not surprising to me. Surprising the Yankees did it, but not surprising to me that Trent Grisham signed it or accepted it. Those are 2 of the players that accepted a qualifying offer. The third player is Gleyber Torres of the Tigers. It's kind of like 50-50. Like a little bit shocked, not totally. Gleyber Torres is going to be playing for the Tigers on a 1-year, $22 million deal.
He was one that I was more surprised that the Tigers offered him that.
Another one that was like, why did you offer this guy? He's in the Trent Grisham camp, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's the shocker to me. This one's surprising. I'm not surprised that the club offered him a qualifying offer because he opted out of his contract, right? He opted out?
I believe so.
He opted out of his contract. He became available to receive a qualifying offer. The Cubs then gave him a qualifying offer, and Shota Imanaga accepted the qualifying offer.
That was stunning, honestly.
Stunning to me. He opted out of his contract, and he's accepting the qualifying offer. And that's a guy that I thought for sure. I mean, Shota Imanaga should be getting more than $22 million a year. Should he not?
Yes.
I feel like he should.
Absolutely.
I feel like he definitely should.
You could say he had a shaky a second half of last year, but I mean, overall, Shota Imanaga is too good to be accepting a qualifying offer.
I agree.
He's way too good for that.
But maybe, I don't know, maybe he's not. Maybe he doesn't think he is. I mean, Imanaga declined the player option of $15 million. That makes sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
He's better than $15 million a year. I would say that. He had a player option for $15 million in 26, $15 million for 27, and a club option for $17 million in 2028. I think Imanaga has outplayed that contract. There's a reason why he opted out of it. $22 million is a massive pay raise for Imanaga, but I don't know. Maybe somebody was going to pay with the way the starting pitching market is, and everybody needs starting pitching. I think for sure Imanaga would get more than $25 million a year. But maybe he just wants to stay in Chicago, get the $22 million, bet on himself, and enter free agency next year. Maybe he likes where he's at in Chicago.
Which, again, makes no sense.
With
because,
the lockout?
Yes. It makes sense on a normal year. But again, from everything that we have heard, the owners are so heels dug in on this salary cap, salary floor situation that there's no way they're playing baseball without it, I don't feel, from everything we've heard. So to bet on yourself to get a bigger and better contract next year,
you got to be good enough to do that for 2028, right? It doesn't. Some of these qualifying offers don't make sense from that standpoint. Like the Gleyber Torres deal doesn't make sense.
Well, no, that does, because I think that's the last chance he has to get a big money option anyway. Grisham makes sense because he's never going to make that much money in his life ever again.
Grisham makes sense. Yeah, that's what I was going to get to with Grisham. I mean, that's the most he's ever going to get paid.
And Woodruff coming off of a season of injury, it makes sense for him to go back because he's not going to get that much money on the open market. But for a guy like Shota Imanaga to effectively take money away from himself to go back to the Cubs, and granted, that's not saying the Cubs are a bad team. They're a good team. But to take that big money, long-term contract away from himself with what is looming over the horizon, it doesn't make sense. Right. Unless he's another Yu Darvish type where he doesn't care about the money and just wants to play, which we need more players like that. But everything we've been trained with players over the last handful of years, this last generation, it makes no sense.
That doesn't make a lot of sense. Padres over everyone. Y'all are playing the shutdown type. You're overplaying the shutdown thing. Unions,
are you though?
Unions always BS about striking. They're not. The union ain't going to strike.
No, this is the
ownerships
owners
are going to lock the players out because the contract's done. The collective bargaining agreement is over with. They can't play without a collective bargaining agreement, which means they're going to offer something, and the players are going to reject it, and then they're going to lock out, and then they're going to negotiate. That's how it's going to work. It's not a strike thing.
This isn't 94. This isn't, what was it, 22. This isn't that. This is something bigger. This is a looming issue. There's a lot more than just a salary cap and floor on the line here. And while that was the centerpiece of the 94 lockout that ended the season prematurely, there's a lot more. There's television rights, there's benefits, there's so much more in this CBA that I don't think it's overplaying the lockout at all.
I don't think so either. I think it's going to be a big deal. And when they signed the collective bargaining agreement into whatever that year was, this recent one,
that was 22. That was my first. I think that was my first year here, so that would have been
2022 season where they had a slight delay of a start.
Yes.
That was when we do this again, it's going to get worse because they're going to want a salary cap or salary that was coming. And now with the Dodgers and everything, like now it's definitely and now everybody's on board. Like this is ridiculous. So it's not gonna be good. It's gonna take a lot of time. I'll say it like this: it's gonna take a lot of time because they are both going for something that is way on the far spectrum that the other side said they would never accept, and that's what they're going for. So that why it's going to take a long time, which is interesting. Why anybody would sign a qualifying offer in general, aside from a guy like Trent Grisham, who's getting more money this year than he'll ever get, ever, playing Major League Baseball. Like Gleyber Torres had a great year last year. He probably could get a little bit more, maybe. He's kind of a tweener in terms of the deal. Brandon Woodruff with injuries, I guess. But there's no certainty for 2027. That's what makes it very interesting.
Yeah.
But we wanted to get to that. We need to take a quick break. When we finish up the show, we're going to do it with our overreactions the NFL weekend and get you ready for a Wednesday show. It's already Wednesday tomorrow, which is great. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego State Sports Station, 97 through the Fan. This hour 97 through the Fan is brought to you by Toyota of Poway, voted San Diego's #1 Toyota dealer by USA Today. It's the season to save at Toyota of Poway, voted San Diego's #1 Toyota dealer by USA Today. The Black Friday sales event is on with brand new Toyotas in stock and ready to roll. Hurry to Toyota of Poway or toyotapoway.com and drive home happy this holiday. 833-288-973, 833-288-973 if you want to join the show today. It's an Overreaction Tuesday. So we take a look at the overreactions for Week 11 of the National Football League. All right, Frank, what do we got today as these overreactions come about?
The Kansas City Chiefs have fallen to 5-5 after back-to-back losses to AFC contenders in Buffalo and Denver. A surprising skid. All right, let's calm down with that. Made worse because it came on both sides of their bye week. Sunday's loss drops Andy Reid's previously dominant post-bye record to 22-5. Apparently, 17 games over 500 isn't dominant anymore. Kansas City now sits outside the AFC playoff picture, effectively 2 games behind the Jags for the final wild card spot because Jacksonville holds their head-to-head tiebreaker. Buy or sell, Chiefs division title streak is over.
I'll buy it. I don't think they have enough to catch the Broncos. I don't.
No.
I mean, if you start looking at who they have to play and who Denver's got to play, I mean, Denver's already got, 1 game on them? Do they play him again? They play him one more time in Kansas City on Christmas. So the Broncos have what's their lead now? They're 9-2, 5-5. I mean, they got a 4-game lead, 4.5 or 3.5 game lead, 4-game lead with 6 to go.
Yeah,
looking at the standings, I mean, I just, they're not going to be able to catch Denver. They might be able to catch the Chargers, but Denver is going to have to just really fall apart in the final however many games it is. And Kansas City is still a game behind the Chargers. They got to pass 2 teams to win the division. I'm buying that they're not going to win it. They're just going to run out of time.
I've been saying it all year long. The Kansas City Chiefs are not as good as everyone thinks they are. They are an average, mediocre team. And their record last year showed not the quality of their play, but the quality of the officiating that went their way. That is why they were so dominant last year. It wasn't because they were good. This is something we've seen coming and that I've been saying all year long. The Chiefs are not good.
They're 3.5 games behind the Broncos. Kansas City's got the Cowboys on. They got the Colts. Then they go to Dallas on Thanksgiving. They got the Texans, the Chargers, the Titans, the Broncos, and the Raiders. Pretty favorable schedule. But for the Denver Broncos, this is where they have to try to make up ground. The Broncos have the Raiders. They have the Commanders and the Raiders back-to-back. They got Green Bay. Okay, a little iffy. The Jags, Chiefs, and Chargers. They're not going to make up 3.5 games on the Broncos. If they do, that's an epic collapse on the Denver Broncos, who are playing really good football right now.
It's
KG, did they forget to pay the refs this year?
Probably. Justin Herbert struggled.
God, he was
badly.
Bad. He was bad.
In the Chargers,
less than 100 yards passing.
In the Chargers' 35-6 loss to the Jags, finally showing the effects of playing behind an injury-riddled offensive line. Finally, okay. With both starting tackles,
he's done fairly well with the tackles being out.
Both starting tackles out for the season, Herbert was pressured on nearly half of his dropbacks before being pulled in the fourth quarter. Despite the loss, the 7-4 Chargers currently sit in the AFC's 6th seed and now head into a much-needed bye, but their protection issue will not improve when they return. Buy or sell, the Chargers' offensive line issues will cost them a playoff berth.
If the Chargers don't make the playoffs, which I think they will, the reason will be the offensive line. They just lost to Jacksonville's one behind them, but if Baltimore makes the playoffs, they're winning the division. They have Houston behind them. I don't think Kansas City is going to catch teams there. I mean, think about the teams that are behind the Chargers right now for a playoff spot. It's Jacksonville, who's in a playoff spot because 7 teams make the playoffs. Teams on the outside looking in: Houston, Kansas City, Baltimore, Miami, Cincinnati. I don't think any of those teams are passing the Chargers. Not one. But if they don't make the playoffs, it will be because of the offensive line. I'm going to sell it. The Chargers are making the playoffs. If they don't make the playoffs, it will be because of their offensive line. But they're not making they're not missing out on the playoffs. They'll make it.
Josh Allen delivered a dominant performance in the Bills' 44-32 win over the Buccaneers, accounting for 6 total touchdowns, 3 passing and 3 rushing, while throwing for 317 yards and adding 40 on the ground. With Buffalo needing a bounce-back win, Allen carried the offense, spreading the ball to 9 different receivers despite an improvised supporting cast. In a high-scoring duel with Baker Mayfield, Allen stepped up as the Bills' clear difference maker after last week's upset loss to Miami. Buy or sell, Josh Allen will win the 2nd straight MVP award.
That's tough because you got to start finding, like, the fact that Mahomes is not part of the equation, I think helps him a lot. I could see him doing it. I'll buy it. Last year in that stadium, like, it just seems like a Cinderella year for Buffalo. I'll buy it. Who else off the top of your head, like in the AFC, would win the MVP?
I mean, can you make a case for Lamar Jackson with the turnaround that Baltimore has had since he's come back?
That would be using logic in the terms of like
most valuable
player. They don't do that. Who's the most hyped guy in the AFC right now?
Patrick Mahomes.
Still. And he's not. I mean, they're not having a good year. I don't think he wins it. I think it's probably Josh Allen's to lose. And he hasn't even been that phenomenal. He's been good, but we've seen Josh Allen be better.
Yes.
And we've seen the Bills be a lot better. I mean, look at the Drake May. Drake May got enough to win an MVP?
You could make a solid case for Drake May.
What about Bo Nix? You got to think about quarterbacks. They're only going to give it to a quarterback. And so you look at like Indiana Jones, or does he come back down to earth?
That would be a good one for
Daniel Jones.
That was a Chiefs Colts team that was nowhere last year.
Right. So I think you have some argument. I still think Josh Allen's probably better. Like, to me, if the Patriots are the number 1 seed in the AFC, it could be Drake May. If the Colts are the number 1 seed, it could be Daniel Jones. I think Josh Allen can win it even if they're not the number 1 seed in the AFC. But who's the biggest turnaround season? It's like the Patriots and the Colts. And I think Drake May's played a lot better than Daniel. I mean, Daniel Jones played really well the first part of the season. I don't think he's played at that level. Jonathan Taylor is like a one-man wrecking crew. So from in the AFC, like, did they do AFC's MVPs or this is
AFC and yeah?
Do they do that? I can't even remember.
Conference MVPs.
Just looking at AFC teams, the MVPs I look up there at this point: Drake May. I look at Jonathan Taylor. I think you got to throw Bo Nix in there, and then Josh Allen. I think those are kind of your 4 right now. There's nobody else that's really standing out. Maybe throwing Daniel Jones with what's it called with Jonathan Taylor, but. Looking at that, I'm going to sell it though. I think there's better stories than Josh Allen. To me, it'd be like a kind of a lazy pick.
I agree with that 100%. The Rams edged the Seahawks 21-19, moving to 8-2 and taking first place in the NFC West. Matthew Stafford has been exceptional, throwing 27 touchdowns and only 2 picks over 273 consecutive passes. Combined with a top 5 offense and a defense and a powerful running game.
Commas, bro.
Yeah, exactly. Featuring 3 tight end formations, the Rams have multiple ways to win this season. Buy or sell. This is the most talented Rams team in the Matthew Stafford era.
I'm selling that. I think the team that they had when they won the Super Bowl is better. They have some weapons, but they don't have Like Devontae Adams has been okay. I mean, Puka Nacua is good, but they've had teams in the past that I thought were better. They don't have Aaron Donald anymore, like at D line. I think their team is really good. I just don't think this is the best team that they have had in the era. In the Matt Stafford era, if that makes sense.
Oh, there you go.
All right, on to the next one.
Last one here. Despite the 2-8 record and a loss to the Ravens, Myles Garrett is having an incredible season. He added 4 sacks on Sunday, bringing his total to 15 and 10 in the last 3 games. He's on pace for 25.5 sacks, which would break the single season record of 22.5 held by Michael Strahan and TJ Watt. Buy or sell, Myles Garrett will smash the NFL single season sack record this year.
Myles Garrett will smash the record.
Not just beat it, smash it.
Pace for 25.5 sacks, which would break it of 22.5. I can see that. I'll buy that. Myles Garrett's an animal.
He is.
He's so good. I mean, he's the only reason that like the Browns stay in games, like at all. So I will buy that. Absolutely.
Well, there you go.
And there's the overreactions for week 11 of the National Football League. Sometimes we get to those, sometimes we don't. We got a little extra time.
We do like getting to them, though.
We do like getting to them. I do like getting to the high school football update, too.
Yes.
We could continue with that music in the background if you want.
No, whatever. If you want to, we can.
Yeah. What other music would we have for the high school football?
I mean, we can go. Did we go with the college stuff?
I think you should get like the old school, like, you remember the NFL? You remember like the Thursday Night Football on NFL Network?
No.
Dun, 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 dun. That's
Oh,
good,
yes. Yeah, that one. Yes.
I used to have that somewhere in the system. Maybe you could just pull it up on YouTube or something. That's a good one. While Frank's working on that, let's talk about what a week it was in San Diego high school football to finish up the show. A lot of upsets, shootouts, defensive stars, spots in the CIF semifinals, and in the Open Division championship games, getting locked in across every division. Start things off with the game of the week, Cathedral Catholic and Mission Hills. The Dons beat Mission Hills 42-35, and the night belonged to Kevin Clark. 2 months ago, he was a special teamer. Friday, he was a star. Clark had a fumble recovery on the first play, then 2 interceptions, including the game sealer at the Dons' 15-yard line. Honor Falave Johnson set the tone with a 47-yard touchdown on Cathedral's first offensive snap. Dons improved to 9-2 and advanced to the Open Division Championship. There it is. They'll face Carlsbad, who's 10-1, after the Lancers beat La Costa Canyon 27-23. Eli McNeil was nearly perfect, 11 for 12, with touchdowns to Rocky Cummings and Ian Wall. Kai Brown carried it 26 times for 191 yards and 2 scores. For La Costa Canyon, which ends 9-2, Quinn Roth threw 3 touchdowns, 2 to Kobe Herman and 1 to Jackson McGore. And that is your look at the Open Division. On to the Division I quarterfinals. Lincoln beats Poway 51-41. Hornets junior Curtis exploded for 307 yards and 3 touchdowns on just 20 carries. Rashad Robinson added 114 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Keenan Mana threw a pair of touchdowns, including a 68-yard bobbling catch by Courtney Miller-Thompson. Poway got 290 yards passing from Noah Schubach and 3 rushing touchdowns from Luke Jorgensen. Poway gave Lincoln a run, but the Hornets advanced to the semifinals. They played the winner of San Marcos and Point Loma, and it was the Knights defeating the Pointers 24-21. Carson Hackett kicked field goals from 19, 24, and 44 yards. Creep McKinley and Zeke McIntyre for a score, and Zamir Reese ran in another touchdown. Point Loma quarterback Ryder Watson threw a touchdown to Leo Schad and scored on the ground. As San Marcos ends Point Loma's undefeated season, drops them to 11-1. The Knights will continue to take on Lincoln in the semifinals. Mount Miguel beats Oceanside in a rematch of a game from earlier this season. Mount Miguel wins 26-20. Jeremiah Loper threw for 101 yards and 2 touchdowns, and Jaden Hunter added 91 yards rushing. Oceanside got touchdown grabs from Cameron Salcido and Easy Tokyo. Granite Hills wins big over Rancho Bernardo to complete the Division I semifinals. Granite, with a 56-7 win over RB, will take on Mount Miguel on Friday in a rematch of that particular game. A dominant defensive night. Jesse Wilhite had an 83-yard pick six and a fumble return for a touchdown. Parker Johnson and Gage Spalding each ripped off long touchdown runs of 82 and 83 yards, and Zach Benitez threw 3 touchdown passes. In the Division II quarterfinals, Santa Fe Christian beat St. Augustine 17-9. Dax Labrum threw for 211 yards and a touchdown to Chase Woolley, while Braden Scott and Brady Berg led the defense. St. Star Pied Palomalu had 118 yards rushing and a touchdown catch. Santa Fe Christian 17, St. Augustine 9. Scripps Ranch continues their Cinderella story. The 12th seed in Division II knocked off La Jolla in Game 1 and then beat the first-round bye El Camino Wildcats 17-14. The 12 seed Falcons are in the semifinals. Parker Armstrong hit Kaysen Mendez for a 34-yard go-ahead score with under a minute to go. Jackson Roche had 14 tackles. San Diego High beat Mission Bay 33-19. That ends Mission Bay's undefeated season. Kai Cooper scored 4 touchdowns, 3 rushing, 1 receiving. Jaden Harris threw a touchdown, and Esteban Herrera had 2 strip sacks. Mission Bay quarterback Trey Arnold threw 2 touchdowns, both caught by Shane Brushy. Steel Canyon beats Helix in the rematch of these two teams for the Grossmont Hills League. Steel Canyon wins 22-19. Gavin Caja threw for 231 yards and 2 touchdowns. Nico Jara had 10 catches for 144 and a score, and Jacob Henton added a touchdown. Steel Canyon beat Helix 22-19. It'll be Steel Canyon versus San Diego High, Scripps Ranch, and Santa Fe Christian in the Division II semifinals. We'll talk about D3, 4, and 5 in tomorrow's show. We're out of time. For Frank Marchese, I'm Braden Surprenant. This has been the Braden Surprenant Show. Coming up next, Tony Gwynn Jr. and Chris Sello for Gwynn and Chris on San Diego Summer Sports Station 97.2 The Fan.